Last week was an uplifting experience for head coach Charlie Sumner and his Oakland Invaders. Led by quarterback Bobby Hebert, the Invaders defeated New Jersey to clinch the Western Conference Championship. Hebert's lone touchdown pass on the day was this game-winning 12-yarder to wide receiver Derek Holloway. Holloway's, though, was complimented as well by fellow wide receiver Anthony Carter, who set a club record with his 69th reception of the year. Also entering his name into the Invader record book on the defensive side was cornerback Vito McKeever. McKeever intercepted this Ron Reeves aerial and returned it a record 85 yards for a touchdown. The Oakland Invaders were able to hold off the general rally late and defeat New Jersey 34-29. Meanwhile, down in Houston, it was the greatest moment ever for Todd Dillon. The well-schooled sub for Jim Kelly did it all. First on the ground, showing maneuverability against the San Antonio Gunslingers. And when the former Long Beach State star wasn't doing it on the ground, he went up top, as the run and shoot oftentimes does. First to slot back Ricky Sanders for a score. And then Clarence Verdun, the speedster outside, came through. Wide open offensive attack says tonight, truly it's the best of the West, Oakland and Houston on ESPN. Tonight, we're deep in the heart of Texas in the Astrodome as Oakland comes in to take on the Houston Gamblers. And all of the USFL is awaiting the outcome of this game. If Houston wins on Saturday, Tampa Bay would travel to Birmingham. And on Sunday, Houston would play Memphis. Baltimore would take on Oakland. And then on Monday, Denver would travel to the Meadowlands. If Oakland wins, then Saturday, Houston would meet Birmingham. On Sunday, Denver would take on Memphis. Tampa Bay then would travel on to Oakland. And on Monday, July 1st, Baltimore would take on New Jersey. Hello, everyone. This is Tim Brando, and I'm joined by Mike Hafner. Now, certainly the importance of this game for both teams we've outlined, but certainly significantly, Houston really must feel it needs this game badly.
If they win, they get the extra day, and any coach will tell you in the playoff situation, the more practice days they have, Tim, the better prepared they are for the game. And if they win, they play on Sunday. If they don't, they play on Saturday, and they lose the day.
From a public relations standpoint, the run and shoot always gets the press clippings, but what about the high-powered offense that Oakland had?
Bobby Hebert can throw the ball long as well as anybody in this league and maybe any league. He's got outstanding receivers, and maybe they run the ball just a tad better than Houston, but this ought to be a wide-open offensive game, Tim.
And, of course, tonight, the end of the spring era of the United States Football League, the last game ever played in the spring, regular season-wise, in the USFL. USFL Monday Night is brought to you by King Edward Cigars. Great taste and great price make a man want to smoke them. And by IBM Personal Computer. See them at the IBM PC Classic, now in full swing at a store near you. And by Exxon, quality you can count on. The Invaders take on the Gamblers, and the opening kick is coming up. Back to the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The Oakland Invaders and the Houston Gamblers. Tim Brando and Mike Hafner with you. And there's Charlie Sumner. He may be the coach of the year in this league, taking this team to the championship, clinching it last week against New Jersey. And there's Jack Pardee, who has done an outstanding job here with the Gamblers, especially on the defensive side. Not getting a lot of publicity, but that defense of his is bent but not broken. They have yielded some points, but they've come away winners most of the time. And in this series, the Gamblers lead it 2-0, and look at the last meeting. Houston, a runaway, 42-7 against the Invaders, and Oakland was able to move the ball in that game. They just couldn't get into the end zone as much.
I suppose there's a little revenge factor when they sneak out between those white lines. They want to get a little bit even for that 42-7, Tim.
The Gamblers obviously would like to get this game out of the way, realizing they would have an extra day, and something we did not mention at the outset. is with a Jim Kelly that could possibly be healthy. That could possibly make a difference, an extra day for a guy in his situation.
I talked with John Jenkins, the offensive coordinator. He said Mikey was about 3 days away from playing in this football game, at least 2 series to get ready for the playoffs. So he's real close. And that extra day of rest going into the playoffs might help Jim Kelly as much as it does the Gamblers.
Novo Bojovic will kick off for the Invaders. And back deep for the Gamblers, Clarence Verdun.
Danger with a capital D.
Out of Southwest Louisiana, the best in the United States Football League. Scott McGee is also back there with him, along with Vince Corville.
This is going to be a game of who wants it the most. Yes, they're both in the playoffs, but who wants it the most going to win this one?
It comes down to Verdun, a yard deep in his end zone. Nice cut back by Verdun. He's out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Bojovic made sure that he got out of bounds, and it will be 1st and 10 for the Gamblers with good field position. And it will be Dillon at quarterback. 4 touchdowns last week. And offensively up front for him at center will be Billy Kidd. The guards will be Dan Rosato and Rick Kerr. Rob Taylor and Tommy Robinson will be the tackles. McNeil along with Johnson will be the slot backs, with McGee and Corville in the game as well. Verdun moving into a slot, and already we have a whistle to stop play briefly. They have to get the kicking tee off the field.
Bojovic made the tackle and he forgot to go back and get it. Must have got his bell wrong.
That's right.
And pushed him out of bounds.
Novo was involved in a fray on the opening kick last week. John Miller of the New Jersey Generals went after him, went headhunting, and Bojovic and he had a little tussle at about the 40-yard line.
They don't pick kickers to have contact.
That's Johnson in motion at the top. Swing pattern out to McNeil. It goes for about 4 yards, and that's it. David Shaw made the stop for the Invaders defensively. He, along with Bentley, up front for Oakland, a 3-man line with Monty Bennett, Tim Moore, and Doug Holly. Moore will be the nose tackle, Holly and Bennett the ends. The linebackers, Ed Smith along with Plummer, Gary Plummer, Ray Bentley, and David Shaw. Derek Martin and Vito McKeever will be the corners, with Greenwood and John Sullivan as the safeties. Angelo Snipes is coming to the game, displacing Ed Smith at the outside linebacking spot. And it's 2nd down and 6 yards to go for the Gamblers.
Snipes is a great pass rusher, and you've got to get pressure in the run and shoot.
Incomplete, intended for Sanders. Gary Plummer, the inside linebacker, was there with him. And it'll be 3rd down at 6.
The way the Invaders attack the run and shoot is more with their linebackers on the slot backs. You'll see a lot of the USFL teams will bring in 4 cornerbacks and play the 4 receivers man-to-man. But the Invaders like to, on the early downs, challenge those youngsters at, 5'9", 150 pounds and see how tough they are and see if they can hold up.
At the 33, 3rd down and 6. Premature movement in the line. Could be a gimme for Dillon. Doug Holly was over the line of scrimmage. Whether he was pulled, we don't know. But Verdun is near a 1st down, perhaps has it at the 39. Now, we'll just have to wait and see if, in fact, Houston is guilty. Gary Plummer, the inside linebacker, made certain that he got out of bounds.
Offside. Defense. We're going to measure.
Well, he did have the gimme, but
he
they
did not bob
will
his
have
head
to
that
measure.
time. 1st down.
Bennett was complaining that the quarterback had bobbed his head to drive him offside. And you heard the referee said he did not bob his head on that one.
Dillon had that confidence, though, realizing that he may have a gimme, and it helped him that
Free
time.
plays, quarterbacks love those. They can throw the tough pass. If it gets picked off, you can always take the penalty. He wanted the 1st down there, though, and that was the key, and they just got it.
2nd-year man out of Long Beach State is coming to his own at just the right time for Pardee and staff. 1st and 10 for the Gamblers at the 39. McGee, boy, and he was nailed by Greenwood at the 35. And if life wasn't already difficult enough for Scott McGee, he had a triple root canal earlier today.
We talked to him as we came into the stadium, Tim, and he didn't look very healthy. The dentist had worked on his teeth. Dillon hung him out to dry here, up over the top of his head, get him off his feet, and that gives a chance for a safety or a linebacker to drill him. And you don't want to be hanging up there when Mr. Greenwood's in your neighborhood, because he'll drill you. Again, McGee.
We'll check on his status, and when we return, we'll tell you it's 0-0 now. There's Scott McGee, already a headache to go along with an oral problem coming in. He's not the only injured receiver, though. There's Anthony Carter.
Although we did talk to the coaching staff, the medical staff, said he could have played today if it would have been a playoff game. He's got a gash in his knee. It took 10 stitches to close it, but why reopen it now when they got a playoff game coming up in a week?
2nd down and 10. Dillon for McNeil. He had a hand on it. Back there with him was Derek Martin, the cornerback, but McNeil certainly had the opportunity to make a big grab there. Now, on his first catch tonight, he went over the 1,000-yard mark.
Again, the exact same play. Dillon hangs it up, and I really think 31 Greenwood intimidated McNeil a little bit. That was catchable. But he saw what happened to Scott McGee. He didn't want to get that same number 31 in his face.
The Wisconsin star, Greenwood, has been known to lay some big hits in the backfield.
Charlie Sumner said he wasn't tough enough, so he got 5 straight personal foul penalties.
All right, who did it? Is it Reuben Vaughn or is it Billy Kidd? We'll wait. The proverbial whodunit look on the face of the nose tackle and center there.
Encroachment, number 77, defense.
Reuben Vaughn is caught.
Again, Tim, they're complaining about Dillon when he calls his snap count that he's moving his head, and they're saying that's drawing him offside, but the referee's not buying any of that.
Reuben Vaughn in his 3rd year out of Colorado. And so now it's 3rd down and 5 for Houston, as if they needed help. You don't like to do that. The ball at the 44-yard line. Johnson in motion. Johnson dropped it. And so it's punt time for the Gamblers.
It was a good call there. They went for the screen pass. They had 4 down linemen and only 3 linebackers that time. That's when to run the screens. If you got 4 linebackers in there, they usually stop it. And all the problem was it couldn't complete the pass.
Frank Corral will punt it away, averaging just over 41 yards per punt. Sean Faulkner drops back deep for the Invaders. Corral will get it off at about his 35-yard line. Boy, Angelo Snipes had an opportunity to block it and chose not to. He pulled up a couple of yards away from Corral. The ball goes out of bounds at the 23-yard line. We're scoreless from the Astrodome in Houston. We'll take a look at the Invaders on offense when we come back. Just underway, 13 minutes left to play in the opening quarter. Monday night USFL on ESPN, the final time in the spring. Tim Brando and Mike Hafner with you, and Bobby Hebert as John Williams and Albert Bentley in his backfield on 1st and 10 at the 23. Williams weaves his way up to the 25-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Bobby Hebert, the quarterback who has accomplished so much in 3 years in this league. And with him offensively up front will be Jim Leonard. As you look at Bobby's numbers there, he'll be the center, Leonard will be, and Tracy Franz and Jeff Wiska will be the guards. Ray Penny in his 9th year will be at left tackle, Dale Markham at right tackle. The tight end is Doug Cozen. Mike Schumann starts in place of Anthony Carter. Gordon Banks at the other wide receiver spot. And as we mentioned, it's Bentley and Williams in the backfield behind Hebert. 2nd and 8. Under duress in the direction of Banks, but overthrown. Rockmore was overcovering for the Gamblers, and it will be 3rd down and 8. Dennis Devon also in the general area. And defensively, the Gamblers look this way. A 4-man front with Ross Browner back at one end and Pete Caton at the other. Tony Fitzpatrick, who's been ailing, will be at the left tackle spot, an all USFL performer of a year ago. Hosea Taylor will be the other tackle. The linebackers, an active group. Kiki Diallo will be the middle linebacker with brothers Mike and Andy Hawkins outside. Will Lewis and Mike Mitchell are the corners, although we have seen a bit of Devon. Bradley and Rockmore are the safeties. Tommy Myers is injured. 3rd and 8. Hebert, incomplete, intended for Mike Schumann, and there's Hebert on the AstroTurf. Caton was all over Hebert, and that really served to give him a lot of problems.
Big sack man last year, also an all USFL player, pass rusher. And hello, Bobby, for the first time this evening, and you will see me again.
Gerald McNeil awaits the Stan Talley punt. Really the best of the best here. Talley leads the league in punting, and McNeil leads the league in punt returns. A low-line driver. McNeil could do something with it. And there he goes. To the 48-yard line of Oakland. Wes Howell made the stop for the Invaders.
What you want to do, Tim, on a punt return is to get a lane. And when you have great speed, you go sideways until you see the lane. Now you see McNeil make a cut. Now it's just a great athletic move to break a tackle there high. And I'll tell you what, you got to break down on this young man. You got to get down in a set position or he'll run right by you.
So in a game of offense, it's been the special teams with the most offense to this point. We're scoreless.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom Eason in the ESPN Sports Center. Hope you're enjoying the USFL action from the Astrodome. Due to time considerations, we will break away for a short while. While we were away, Houston's drive was halted by Oliver Davis, who intercepted a Todd Dillon pass. It was his 2nd interception of the season. When we rejoin the action, Oakland has possession 1st and 10 on the Houston 40-yard line.
No scoring to this juncture at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The Oakland Invaders now have the ball. They mark it at the 48-yard line. He went out of bounds. Oliver Davis did at his own 48. Bobby Hebert doing what he does best. And there's Bentley. Albert Bentley with some running room and following a blocker that really didn't get out of his way. Jim Leonard, the center, was down there, and Jim really couldn't get out of Bentley's way. So Durwood Rockmore was in Leonard's way, and because of that, Bentley had to go out of bounds and was sort of forced out of bounds.
Screen pass, good play on 1st down. They're expecting you to strike deep right away after the turnover. Hebert goes to the screen pass. Now watch 63, Jim Leonard. And Bentley is using him. That's what you want to do. The problem is Leonard slows down, gets in his way when he tries to take out, I think that's Mitchell.
And with the ball at the 27-yard line, it's 1st and 10 for the Invaders.
That was Rockmore he ran over.
Bentley tied up by Ross Browner. Ross Browner, who has added some weight. He's been down and out with injuries, has not been able to come back as quickly as they would have liked in his 8th year out of Notre Dame. But certainly when you talk about talent in the defensive front, he has to have the most with this team.
And of course he came from a pretty good career with the Cincinnati Bengals, a #1 draft choice. He is a fine player, but sitting down for as long as he did and then trying to come right in and pick it back up proves you got to have at least a training camp in.
No gain for Bentley, and it's 2nd down and 10. Wes Howell was in motion there. Hebert looks for Schumann, and it's out of bounds, incomplete. Mike Mitchell, the cornerback out of Howard Payne in his third year, over there covering. There's a look at Mitchell. He along with Devon back there.
Hebert's going to miss Anthony Carter tonight. He's going to have to use some of his other receivers. Mike Schumann, the control receiver. Gordon Banks is really a control receiver also. If he wants to get deep, they may have to put Holloway in and run him through those safeties.
Holloway probably the most like Carter of the bunch. He can make those acrobatic catches as well. That's Holloway up at the top of your screen. Third down and 10. The blitz is on, and Schumann dropped it. May have heard footsteps coming from Mike Mitchell. Pass was a bit overthrown, but he dropped it.
They go back and talk to Bobby Hebert. Don't hang him up there like that. Get him to me quick. So some safety didn't come up and drill me. Again, the crossing pattern between the linebackers and the secondary. And see, pops it up in the air, and Schumann turned around to see if Mike Mitchell was going to drill him in the back. Here comes the blitz. That's Andy Hawkins, 59. Kiki Diala, number 31. Hebert had to get it away quickly because of the pressure from Hawkins, and that's why he hung it up for Schumann.
On fourth down, enter Novo Bojovic. And Fred Basana will hold at the 34. It'll be a 44-yard attempt. Novo is usually deadly from 40 yards or out, and he nailed that one, and the Invaders now have taken a 3-0 lead, making good use of the turnover off the interception by Oliver Davis. ESPN takes you between the lanes of PBA. This week it's the Kessler Open coming up live Wednesday in Dublin, California. $125,000 Kessler Open coming your way here on ESPN. It's 3-0 now. The Oakland Invaders leading the Houston Gamblers with just over 8 minutes left. Sean Potts is back deep awaiting the kick from Bojovic, along with Corval and Verdun, and that's Potts a couple of yards deep in his end zone. And down he goes. Hit a couple of times, but most notably by Bob Standifer at about the 18-yard line.
Fake the reverse on that, didn't fool a soul, Tim. Didn't even get back to the 20-yard line. And that's the key on the coverage team. You keep them inside the 20-yard line on a kickoff, you've done a heck of a job. Not a good night thus far for Todd Dillon, and you have to wonder why. I've got a feeling that the 4 pass rushers, Oakland usually comes at you with only 3 down linemen. They're playing 4, putting a lot of heat on him. Also, they're bumping the slot backs with the linebackers, and that means you're going to have to throw deep. And he likes to throw them short right away to get warmed up.
Sanders and Verdun are the slot backs. McNeil is in the game as well on 1st and 10. And Verdun gets it at about the 23. Over there with him was John Sullivan, the free safety.
And that's the way to get away from the bump at the line of scrimmage on your slot backs. Run them into the flat and throw them the swing pass. And that's the way to keep the linebackers off of them. So they made the adjustment. John Jenkins, the offensive coordinator, said if they're going to do that to us, we'll throw it outside.
You saw the numbers there on Verdun, one of a number of Gambler receivers, about ready to eclipse 1,000. Second down and 4 after the gain of 6 with the ball now at the 23-yard line. McNeil incomplete, and again Doc Dillon overthrowing his man and in between 3 or 4 Invaders, and that's a dangerous pass.
When you're indecisive as a quarterback, you tend to overthrow. If you get confident and feel you got the big strong arm, you'll tend to throw it down and it'll bounce. And I've got a feeling that Dillon hadn't found his rhythm yet. He's a little tentative, and the ball's flying on him, going up over the top of everybody, and that's why Greenwood got the 1 interception.
Third down and 4 at the 24. The Gamblers trailing 3-0 with 7.5 minutes left first quarter. Tim Brando and Mike Hafner, we're happy you joined us here on ESPN Monday night. Verdun incomplete, and again all over him, John Sullivan, the free safety. And had Verdun come up with it, he would have still been shy of the first down.
And Todd Dillon looks so tentative. He needs a good, big, strong completion to get his confidence. He just doesn't look like he's got the rhythm.
Now, he's coming off his best performance ever, but in fairness, the San Antonio Gunslingers are not the Oakland Invaders.
Not hard.
It's 4th down and 4, and Frank Corral will have to punt it away. Sean Faulkner, that's Sean Faulkner back deep for the Invaders. There's Corral.
He got one blocked last week.
He really had one blocked before, and that one's blocked, and it's recovered by Randy McClanahan in the end zone for a touchdown, but we do have markers down. Now hold everything. We'll just have to wait and see what the infraction's all about. Many times you find that it's the offensive team or soon-to-be defensive team that leads too quickly.
Illegal member of the kicking team, downfield, number 46. Penalty decline, count the touchdown.
That's the case, and that's 6 for the Invaders.
They got one block last week, and obviously Charlie Sumner and his staff saw that Corral took time, also kicked it low. They got the block. And 6.
And remember, Angelo Snipes was so close last time out, and he almost pulled back, in essence, to keep from blocking the punt from Corral. It only measured 33 yards. That one went about 15 yards the opposite direction for Corral, much to his dismay. The extra point is good, and so the Oakland Invaders, who have been an opportunistic team all year long, have done it again, and this is the reason they're the best of the West coming in tonight.
Two great offensive teams. We've got a turnover, an interception, and a field goal, and now a block punt for a touchdown. The offenses haven't done anything. There's the block, and it's nice when you block it, and then you get in the end zone and fall on it for the touchdown. McClanahan got them both, the block and the score.
Here again, the solo by McClanahan.
First of all, Corral takes 3 steps. Second of all, he gets the low kick, doesn't get any height. McClanahan has no problem. Bruce Threadgill was the up man, and all he did was get a little piece of him. McClanahan, I'll tell you, defensive players like to score touchdowns, Tim.
You think Randy's happy?
I just said, those defensive guys like TDs.
Yep.
Look at that smile.
All the home folks in nearby Lafayette, Louisiana, I'm sure happy to see the former Southwestern star come through with a touchdown. The Invaders are 12-0 when they score first. And needless to say, they've accomplished that goal tonight. Boyovic's kick is gathered in by Corval, and he'll sit on it. So the Gamblers will open up at its 20-yard line. And as you mentioned earlier, Mike, they really need a pass completion, or specifically Todd Dillon needs that early pass completion on this series.
Yeah, not just a dink pass, not just a little swing out in the flat. He needs a good, solid 15, 20-yard gain to get his confidence back. He knows he's off his rhythm. And I've got a feeling John Jenkins, the offensive coordinator, will give him a chance to complete 1 or 2. He's got to do it, or this offense will stutter and flutter.
Corval up at the top of your screen there. Verdun one slot back, and Johnson the other. McNeil set to the bottom of your screen, and it's 1st and 10. Johnson to about the 23-yard line. John Sullivan made the stop. Johnson needs about 6 more to surpass Leonard Harris as the receiving leader in the United States Football League. There's Johnson, who was openly critical of Dillon early on, and then Dillon quickly shut him up after last week's performance.
I asked John Jenkins about that also, and he said, well, I think it was more a reason for the 4 losses in a row than it was really upset with Dillon. And when we won one, everybody forgot about it.
2nd and 7 after the gain of 3. The ball at the 23. Dillon to Sanders, 1st down. John Sullivan horse-collared him out of bounds, but not before he had picked up the first. That may be the pass that Dillon needed.
Still a little bit off balance, though, Tim. His receivers, this is the package to the left. The roll left, you've got 3 receivers running there. Sanders is his out man, and look, he really doesn't set his feet, doesn't have the great form. It was just that Sanders was wide open and it was hard to miss him. He really needs to set in there, settle down without the happy feet, the quick feet, and drill one for about 15 yards and know that he's got the arm and the timing.
3rd down and 10. A 3-man defensive forward wall now for the Invaders. And he swings one out for Sanders. That one behind him a bit. Sullivan again was over to cover. Not much of a gain, if any at all.
Looks like he's guessing on his decisions to his wide receivers. In the run and shoot, not only do the receivers have to read the defense and make their cuts, the quarterbacks have to read them too. And I've got a feeling he's not reading well enough so that he can find the open receiver.
There's the Irishman who can't wait until next week. Look at that season. Consider all of that, and he's been out for 4 weeks.
Good thing he didn't play the whole year. He just shattered all of his own records and everybody else's.
I'd say both he and Herschel have put some room between themselves and the rest. In their categories, pass is underthrown, intended for Corbel. Vito McKeever was over there in coverage. And it will be 3rd down and 11 yards to go after a loss of 1 on that last pass play to Sanders.
He really hasn't thrown a disciplined completion. And when I say that, a hook pattern, an out pattern, instead of the trick plays where you get somebody open, a crossing pattern or a wide swing, he really hasn't hit one of the real crucial passes that keeps the run and shoot going. And he's got to hit one now, 3rd and 11.
The closest he came was in the opening series when McNeil dropped one. That's for Dan in motion, and again, premature movement, maybe another gimme. Johnson gets it, and Richard Johnson is up to the 35, about a gain of 3 before Randy McClanahan made the hit. It's McClanahan, of course, that came up with the touchdown earlier, you might recall, on the blocked punt. And we have an injured gambler.
Offside, number 99, defense.
Doug Holly again. That's the 2nd time he's been called. I believe that's Tommy Robinson, the right tackle for the Gamblers, that's down on the field at about the 30-yard line. They're tending to him now.
Tommy Robinson, starting right tackle. Let's see. There's the offside. We don't see where he got it.
Well, he was trying to cut back and make a block. That much we could tell. Robinson in his 3rd year out of Texas A&I.
I like the way his legs are moving, which usually indicates that you got the wind knocked out of you. You're kicking, fighting, trying to get that air back in your lungs.
We mentioned the distance between themselves and the rest of the league where Kelly's concerned. Look at that. Herschel Walker, almost 1,100 yards the difference between he and his closest competitor, Rozier.
How about 950?
And the passing leaders, of course, Reeves of Tampa Bay within shouting distance, but that's all. And of course, he was healthy most of the year.
Yeah, Kelly only played 13 and a half games and put those stats on the board.
Speaking of Rozier, he is of major news here in Houston today. Apparently, his contract bought out by the Oilers, where Jacksonville's concerned, has been freed of obligations and should sign late this week with the Oilers. McNeil dropped another one. That on 3rd and 6. So McNeil has dropped 2 passes, and they've probably been the better passes of this game to this point by Dillon.
Oh, that one was just plain footsteps. Also, he knew he was short of the 1st down. It was 3rd and 6, and he needed more yardage because it was just a quick screen pass to him. He started to run downfield before he had the football tucked away. Suppose Corral's itching a little? Where are they coming from this time, huh?
Sean Faulkner awaits. Once again, good pressure by McClanahan. He just missed it. Randy, baby! Goes out of bounds. They'll mark it up around the 25-yard line. And Randy McClanahan came oh so close. Again, there he says, I was so close.
I'll tell you what, Kevin McLean, the special teams coach for Houston, better find out what's going wrong with the blocking scheme here, because nobody has touched McClanahan twice. He might have got just a little bit on the ends of his fingertips, knowing that he got some of it, but he wanted it all again so he could score.
McClanahan, if nothing else, is scoring points with the likes of George Allen and Marv Levy. They love those good special team players.
That's it.
10-0 our score with the ball at the 24-yard line. The Invaders have it offensively. And there's Bentley. Close to a first down. Making the stop, Adrian Simpson and Mike Mitchell.
Watch the block that 74 Ray Penny makes on Pete Caton. Now, Pete Caton's an outside pass rusher. Penny knows that, and he gets inside and turns him out. And there goes Bentley right through the middle. Another thing you want to do is run right at Kiki Diallo. You don't want to run away from him because he's got great speed. He hasn't got the great size for a middle linebacker, so you run right at him. If you get him guessing wrong, you can be in the secondary in a whole bunch of hurry.
2nd down and 1 now with the ball at the 34. Newton is in the game now at fullback. That's Williams with the first down at about the 36. Tony Fitzpatrick made the stop. You mentioned Diallo now. Once again, they were able to burrow Diallo out of this play, at least to get the first down.
He's not the 250-pound middle linebacker, and if they get a shot on him, like they did from Leonard, 63, you're going to move him out of the way so that your fullback can get the first down yardage. He's quick, though, if you try to run away from him, Tim. He'll run you down from behind faster than any middle linebacker in the league.
1st and 10, Oakland. They lead it 10-0 with 4:15 left first quarter. They're at their 36-yard line. Hebert for Holloway. Touchdown. If you need a big play, you go to Derek Holloway if AC's out of the lineup, and Hebert went right for the jugular with that one.
I told you he was going to look for Holloway because AC wasn't around, and Banks and Schumann are the control receivers, not going to give you the deep speed. And Holloway just flat flew behind the secondary and got 6. Look at AC right behind him. He's the one in the street clothes.
You talk about a together group. Those receivers, you saw Howell there, Schumann, even the tight ends, Bergman and Kozin, and Holloway and Banks. They are such a close-knit group, and Fred Biletnikoff probably hoping for Coach of the Year honors at the assistant level.
That's right.
Holloway on the fly pattern, and now it's a 17-0 game.
This is what Bobby Hebert likes to see. He's going to set up and says, oh, Holloway's got him beat. All I got to do is lay it out there with his speed. And that's what it feels like, folks, when you're chasing a wide receiver. There's not much hope of catching up with him once he gets 1 or 2 steps on you. And here's the move he puts on. First of all, you got to remember Holloway has exceptional speed. And all he's going to do is run right at his shoulder. And then Will Lewis knows he's going deep, and it's too late then. Once you realize you're beaten as a secondary man, the only thing you can do is dive on him and get pass interference, because if they get 2 steps, they're gone. Great shot. Guys in the truck are doing a super job as usual.
And Bobby Hebert threw that one into the teeth of about 3 black jerseys. Paid the price, but got up and was able to give the sign of victory. There's the Cajun sensation, Bobby Hebert, who played at Northwestern Louisiana, out of New Iberia, that Cochon-de-Lay area of Louisiana. He's throwing for over 3,000 yards every year he's been in this league.
Can't refute those stats. Don't care who you're playing against or at what level.
And, of course, there are rumors abound that he may be playing for that other team that used to play in Oakland next year. That's Vince Corbel. Hemmed in at the 25-yard line. Howell, among others, in on the stop. Also there was Rich Dixon. Novo Bojovic, always the animated kicker.
I told you they don't pay kickers for contact. So Boyovic's going to make sure that everybody gets the tackle. Look at him. Hey, he's going this way, guys. Make sure you make the stop. Good job. I didn't have to make the tackle. Yeah, look at him applaud. Thank you very much. I didn't have to make the tackle.
1st and 10 at the 25 for Houston, and Dillon lets it fly for Verdun, incomplete, and again Oliver Davis back there with him. And Dillon was leveled by Reuben Vaughn.
Tim, not only is his form bad, he can't get his feet set, but second of all, he's picking out receivers that are covered. You're supposed to be able to run in the run and shoot. You're supposed to be able to find the guy who's open. I would say he's not open here, would you?
Oliver Davis is having a fine game. Here's a player that is considered a backup and already interception that led to the first points of the game, and now suddenly he's been all over every receiver in his face.
It's interesting when you go up against the run and shoot, all of a sudden those second defensive backs, the backup people get to play a lot.
2nd down and 10. Fowler on the delay, and he has some room, gets about 4, maybe 5. McClanahan made the hit. That's the other star of the game, McClanahan. Both he and Oliver Davis in the defensive secondary for Oakland have been making most of the noise. 3rd down and 5 yards to go coming up for the Gamblers, and with just over 3 minutes left in the opening quarter, you got to believe that Houston would like to pick up at least enough first downs to warrant field position if they have to turn it over on a punt.
There's a look at Fowler, and you can see no knee brace. He started out for maybe 3/4 of the year wearing a knee brace after tearing his ligament, same one that Jim Kelly tore, but it's off now.
3rd and 5, and Dillon gets away from some trouble and may have the first down. He's ever so close at the 34. Angelo Snipes, the outside linebacker, a very active one, made the hit, and it appears that he is about a yard or so away.
There's Mr. Snipes, 59, usually the great pass rusher, but he's dropping back in coverage, trying to mix it up a little bit. Now he's going to come up, and he knows that Dillon has to get to the 35-yard line, and he isn't going to make it. He's going to stop him right at the 34.
So it's 4th down and a yard to go, and Frank Corral, who has been on his heels for some time, is ready to punt it away again. A low-line driver. Perhaps he felt rushed a bit. And here comes Sean Faulkner upfield to the 40-yard line. Tommy Myers, the former New Orleans Saints Scrap Irons free safety, made the stop. And there's the very active Randy McClanahan.
There he is again on the punt rush. He's the extreme outside, 57. This time, he's going to be taken on by Bruce Threadgill, number 7. This time, Bruce remembered that the last 2 times he got his hands on the ball. One, he blocked for a touchdown. The other, he just skimmed and forced a bad punt.
That's not a bad block, though, for a backup quarterback.
And backup wide receiver and backup special teams player.
You see the way the Invaders have stacked up against Western Conference foes this year. Both they and the Gamblers have fared relatively well. The ball at the 40-yard line, and there goes Albert Bentley to midfield. He has a first down before Luther Bradley and Kiki Diella make the stop. And the Invaders are doing what they want now offensively.
Albert Bentley, I like his quickness. I love the way he uses his feet to find a hole. Hosea Taylor takes an inside move, and Bentley takes an outside move faster than his block. And when you start getting into the secondary, you're going to gain bunches and chunks of yardage. You got a first down.
They mark it at the 49 where it's first down. John Williams catapults to the 45. Hosea Taylor, among others, and on the stop for the Gamblers. Pete Caton also around the action. There's Hosea. Played for Bill Yeoman at Houston and many games in this very building for a number of years. A lot of talk about this team moving to Chicago in the fall of '86, and Taylor, one of those players whom I'm sure would rather stay right here.
It's home. course, home's where they pay you. So.
That's right.
Maybe you won't mind the move too much.
2nd down and 6. Bentley the lone setback. Fitzpatrick in the way of Hebert, and look at Gordon Banks make the big play. To the 33-yard line before Will Lewis made the hit. And that'll do it for the first quarter. The Oakland Invaders have total throttle of this game right now. They lead the Gamblers by 17. We'll return to the Astrodome in a moment. The Oakland Invaders lead the Houston Gamblers 17-0 as we prepare for the second quarter. Tim Brando and Mike Hafner with you on ESPN. Glad you joined us. And right now the Invaders on the move again at the 33 of Houston. 1st and 10. That's Holloway at the bottom of your screen. And Bentley, who has had a number of holes to run through so far tonight, does find some room to the 30-yard line behind Ray Penny. Mike Hawkins makes the stop. Charlie Sumner may be the coach of the year in this league, and he'll get a lot of votes, I'm certain. And when you stop and consider the job he's done molding 2 teams together, taking the Michigan Panthers, supplanting them in Oakland with another team that had already been there, this is a together group, and you have to credit him.
He also has handled the adversity. He and Bobby Hebert got into it early in the season. He said we sat down, put both cards on the table, understood both situations, said we ironed the problems out, and you can see the results the way this team's playing.
2nd and 7 at the 30. Bentley has 3 more. Willie Harper made the hit. Total domination in the first quarter. Take away time of possession and throw that out. It's negated by everything else up top there.
3-1 in yards. Just about.
Yep.
Passing yards, Houston's supposed to dominate the league and does in passing statistics, but it's 3-1 in favor of Bobby Hebert and the boys, even without Anthony Carter.
And we have a timeout call. With 13 minutes and 43 seconds left, the Invaders threatening to make it a rout. We'll return in just a moment.
Always will.
Get ready, New York, for the first title game to come your way in 20 years. The championship of the USFL. Sunday, July 14th. The United States Football League will crown its champion beginning at 8 p.m. at the Meadowlands. This is your chance to see football at its best. Tickets are available at the Meadowlands box office and all Ticketron outlets.
17-0 our score after Oakland's timeout. They have the ball at the 27-yard line of Houston. And it's 3rd down and 4 yards to go. Gamblers could end this one early. This drive has a lot to do with it. Hebert. Intercepted by Diala. So the Gamblers do end it in a hurry with an interception. The Invaders had their chance. Tracy Franz comes up with the interception. This happened to Hebert last week early on against New Jersey.
Young quarterbacks will do this. Why not just throw it away and kick the field goal, youngster? No, he wants to throw it up, make a spectacular play. And I told you about the speed of Kiki. He can do it, and if you throw one up for grabs, he's going to be in the area. Hebert under a lot of pressure. But again, what you do, a veteran quarterback will dump it. Fitzpatrick, Browner. Veteran quarterback throws that one away and you kick the field goal. A rookie throws it up, or a youngster. He's not really a rookie.
That's been the rap on Hebert. Houston, as you see there, they've had outstanding second quarters in the past, but certainly last week against the Gunslingers was a bit out of the norm, even for Houston.
Now, the way Dillon's running this offense, he better change his style a little bit. They have struggled. I haven't seen a run-and-shoot struggle like this, let alone just Houston's.
Ryan Dawson is in the game for Tommy Robinson now at that tackle spot. Robinson was injured, you might recall, on that last series. And Dillon looks for Johnson and complete. Once again, the pass overthrow. David Greenwood over there, and he knows it.
He is having just an awful night. And Todd Dillon is the first one to recognize it. Watch Richard Johnson on a crossing pattern. This is their bread and butter play. Look at him, standing there at the 45-yard line without a soul around. He throws it behind him and high. And all you can do is blame the quarterback on that. Wasn't a bad route. Certainly weren't any defensive backs in the area to make it a tough throw. Dillon just shaking his head.
7 of 19 to this point, and one interception that hurt.
Got to be 65 to 68% in the run and shoot. He's under 40.
Second down and 10. Verdin incomplete. Markers down. Interference perhaps against John Sullivan, the free safety.
Maybe the only way they can get a completion, Tim.
Way from the far side of the field. Let's see what it's going to be. Let's listen for Earl Sorgan to see what happens.
Earl Sorgan is down there. He'll be making the call.
Way down to him, hit him way left. Illegal contact. Number 41, the defense. First down.
Our umpire is Arthur McCullough. Hayden Terry's the head linesman. The line judge is Roger McGinn. Bill Bagan is the back judge. There's the guilty party.
Illegal contact means beyond the 5 yards you're allowed. You can't hit them even if the ball is not in the air. You can't touch the receivers. I think the illegal contact happened even before the pass interference. I think he bumped him on his cut and then interfered again.
Continuing with our officials, the side judge is Grover Klimmer. Robert Mantous, the field judge, and our review official taking a look at the red flags is Bob Finley tonight. First and 10 at the 40-yard line now for Houston. The pump fake and the pass is nearly picked off. Maybe it is. Greenwood has it. They'll rule him down at the 25. And once again, Corville had to go back for it. And Greenwood had the angle and came up with the interception.
A poor read by number 10, Todd Dillon. Just a poor read. You remember the two passes early in the game that Greenwood almost picked off? Now, Dillon's seen the kind of defense they're running. They're zoning deep, playing man-to-man short. And all Greenwood has to do is just be a great athlete and get up in the air and pick it off, and he does. Heck of a catch.
The Invaders were just a stone's throw away from perhaps making this game a rout. Now the pendulum swings the other way, and Oakland will have it when we come back. The Invaders lead it 17-0. Top Rank Boxing comes your way live on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. on the West Coast, and the ESPN Junior Middleweight Tournament will be highlighted. It all happens here on Your Source for Sports. At the 25-yard line, first and 10 for Oakland. A swing pattern out to Williams. He's out to about the 30, gets 5. Kiki Diella knocked him out of bounds. John Williams, another one of those former Michigan Panthers, not really having the kind of productivity that many had felt he should have had going into the year. But then again, Albert Bentley made good use of the time that he had, and they really have been working well as a tandem.
They had some pretty good running backs in the Invader camp even before they merged the teams. Newton hadn't even got a chance to play as much.
He was one of those self-made USFL stars in the inaugural year coming out of Wisconsin. Second down and 4. As a matter of fact, Hebert is a good case in point as well as a USFL born and bred star. Second down and 4. Williams, first down, and up to the 39-yard line. Propelled by the block from Tracy Franz, Luther Bradley finally made the hit. But it was Franz, the right guard, that was pulling that made it happen. Franz out of San Jose State in his second year.
You know how pulling guard knows when he's done his job? When he listens to the PA announcers say that a defensive back made the tackle. Then he knows he got outside, intimidated the defensive lineman, got the linebacker out of the way, and forced the DB to make the tackle. And then you know you've done your job.
At the 39, it's first and 10. Wes Howell is in the game. He's in the slot left. Holloway at the top of your screen. Hebert on his heels finds Bentley. And a bevy of blockers in front of Bentley. Finally knocked out of bounds at the 44, and markers are down.
He gained yardage down to the game with 44th.
Finally, Will Lewis knocked him out of bounds.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness, number 38, defense.
Derwood Rockmore gets the call for hitting late.
Rockmore, the free safety, and that's frustration. It's a frustration block. Here's the screen. And Bentley has to be a heck of an athlete. You see both guards, 62, or his guard and center, 62, 63. Wiska, Leonard leading him. Now watch, he's out of bounds, clearly out of bounds, and then is drilled by Rockmore, and that's what the flag's for.
Well, they marked the ball just inside the 29 at the 28. Remember, Oakland had New Jersey on the ropes 2 or 3 times last week, and New Jersey wound up making it a game, losing only by 5, 34-29.
And add Flutie back into that offense, and you could really have a game with the two.
Bentley hit behind the line of scrimmage, first by Hosea Taylor, and then Rockmore and Kiki Diala and Hawkins, Mike Hawkins, were able to polish up.
Well, the defensive coordinator, Jim Eddy, guessed right this time. Had his defensive line slanting to the right. Caught Oakland running to the left. Ooh, got a little face mask there, huh? And once you stop on a sweep, you're going to get a lot of black shirts around you. Look at all of them there. There's 5.
And now it's 2nd down and 13 for the Invaders. Here's Jim Eddy. The defensive brain trust behind Jack Pardee.
Doesn't get a lot of credit because the offense gets all the credit.
Hebert with time to Schumann, first down. And he may have dropped it. No, I think they're going to rule that he made the catch. And boy, did he take a hit.
Freddie Biletnikoff will be in love with him. That looked like a Biletnikoff catch from the old days. Under pressure, know you're going to get drilled. Go up, make sure you catch it. Take the blow. Best advice I ever got, Tim, from a receiver coach was you might as well go ahead and catch it. They're going to hurt you just as bad if you drop it, so you might as well catch it. Look at the pressure Hebert's getting. Save me, Schumann. Get me out of this. Caton was right on top of him. Look at Schumann. He's up in the air, knowing he's going to get drilled. If you drop it, it hurts. If you catch it, you jump back up and say, well, it doesn't hurt that bad because I caught it.
Derwood Rockmore hit legally that time and made it count. We'll return. Our score 17-0. It'll be a fun night tomorrow night on ESPN. Some PKA karate followed by Australian rules football. Football down under. We're down under here in the Astrodome as well. 17-0 our score. The Invaders with John Williams carrying a load inside the 5 to about the 4.
I'll tell you what. Their 2 guards, Wiska and France, along with Leonard, they know how to run those little quick trap blocks and the fire-out blocks. Watch the center 3 guys. See the cross block there? Leonard makes the inside move. Then Diala gets Wiska right in his face. And Williams gets good yardage. Good job of blocking. And if you talk to Charlie Sumner, the head coach, he'll say the key to our offense starts with those front 5 down linemen. Led by Penny, of course.
And Bobby Hebert will again call timeout. Second one called in the half by Oakland. Our score is 17-0. The Invaders are the best of the West to now. And they're just a few yards away. We'll return in a moment. Welcome back to the Astrodome in Houston, everyone. Tim Brando and Mike Hafner with you. We're happy you joined us all year long with our Monday night games on ESPN, and this is our finale in springtime football, the last regularly scheduled game in the spring for the USFL.
Does that mean you and I are trivia question?
Put this one in the time capsule.
You're right.
2nd down and 3. Williams. Boy, he is close to the touchdown. Now they say he may have fumbled. That's Cleveland Crosby, the man in the black shirt making like a man in a striped shirt, saying that we have the football, and that there is Hawkins with it. Andy Hawkins, the linebacker. At any rate, it should be and will be enough for the first down. Or perhaps maybe a little short. Yeah, it is a first down.
Take a look at Williams, 43. Again, Wiska, 62. Franz, 64. Both guards pulled. The key there was to get the first down. They were in 4-down territory because they could make a first without making the touchdown.
Again, the importance of this game, really, every playoff team, where they wind up, hinges on the outcome of this game. The Invaders right now are leading at 17-0. If they should win, they would host Tampa Bay rather than Baltimore. 1st and goal. Bentley, touchdown.
Tim, when you're winning up front with your offensive line, when they've got the surge, running backs love it at the 1-yard line. All you have to do is like a running broad jump, a long jump. Just take off, go in the air. You know your linemen are going to beat their defensive linemen, and you're in.
Albert Bentley, who is a Jacques Cousteau fan, loves scuba diving, and has been coming out of some obscurity this year, to say the least, with this offense, rushing for better than 1,000 yards. No one expected that from him.
Boy, this offensive line can make you look good, can it?
The extra point is good. And now we have a little fight breaking out. I'm telling you, Novo Bojovic really likes to play a physical brand of kicking. And he got into it with John Miller of New Jersey last week. This time he's passing a little verbiage with Kiki Diala. So Novo and linebackers don't get along too well.
Come on, Novo, you're up by 24 points. Lay off those guys. Don't give them a reason to turn it around on you.
Here again is the surge of that offensive line we talked about.
Perfect shot right there. You can see him fire out. That means they're getting the edge. He takes off from the 3-yard line in the end zone. If your offensive line is getting the jump, it makes the running back's job a lot easier. And then he gives it to Tracy Franz to spike for him.
And so Albert Bentley now just 6 yards away from 1,000.
Look at that surge. I mean, they didn't even get off their feet. They'd pushed him so far. Leonard, the center, 63, was in the end zone before his running back.
And remember, this is an offense that you'd think would not have within it a 1,000-yard gainer, because he doesn't touch the ball that often. You're not going to carry the ball a great deal. Now look at that. There is a great scoring drive for any club, but especially a team like the Invaders that can strike quickly, and now they prove that they can go the long route.
4.5 minutes, 8 plays, 75 yards. Couldn't draw it up on the board better.
The running into the kicker penalty against Diala moves them up to the 40-yard line for the kickoff. Novo did not get caught with the counter.
Suppose we can get the guys downstairs, our producer John Wildhack, to follow the kicker this time.
There's Corville. And Corville made about a 15-yard return, awfully entertaining, up to the 20-yard line. Making the stop was Sean Faulkner. And the Gamblers now trailing by 24, though with 7:53 left in the half. Must get it going, and must get it going now.
They've got to have a score before the halftime gun. Dillon knows that. His offensive team knows that. They also know that if he hits his stride, that this team can come back and overcome a 24-point lead.
Oh, and the run and shoot philosophy, you bet.
They play like they're down 24 points all the time. But it's up to Dillon.
McNeil at the top of your screen. Verdun goes in motion. In essence, a 4-man front for the Invaders. Dillon gets Sam Harrell into the act, and Harrell is up to about the 30-yard line. Angelo Snipes made the stop, and is that the first time we've called Harrell's name? And we do have, again, some extracurricular activity going on. Dan Rosato, the offensive lineman, in the middle of it. There are Harrell's numbers. Remember, he, too, had been injury-prone this year. But the Gamblers, of course, now they're down by 24, but they really have not gotten either Harrell or Todd Fowler into the thick of this game.
If you combine their rushing stats, it looks a little better than average, but it wasn't the production they got last year. Harrell had a 202-yard game to open the season last year and hasn't come anywhere near that this year.
It's second down and less than a yard. Dillon for McNeil. And that's the third pass that McNeil has dropped in this game. Derek Martin was there with him. Now this one may have been again a bit behind him, but certainly catchable. And the way things have been going for Dillon, he has to be shaking his head over that.
If it's not him, it's his receivers. Or if it's not his receivers, it's him. Can't continue to make those errors in the run and shoot. It tears your confidence down.
Now you can almost see the pain etched on the face of Dillon there. Come on, guys, let's make it happen. There you see the play selection so far for Houston. That's not a balanced attack.
Never is in the run and shoot, but the problem is, of those 21, they're not getting success.
Fowler, really with sheer power, gets the first down. He was wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, in essence, by Snipes, and then just carried him for the first down. McClanahan aided on the tackle, but Fowler carried Angelo Snipes for about 4 yards and picked up the first down. 4 carries for 13 yards in short yardage situations most of the time. 6 minutes are left, and there's Snipes out of West Georgia as a rookie. 6 feet tall and just 208 pounds, so you know he's got great speed for a linebacker. And again, Monty Bennett goes across and also throws a right cross in the face of Billy Kidd, the center, after throwing Dillon for a loop.
Illegal contact with the center, number 91 defense.
It's certainly illegal contact. First with the center, but I'd have thrown the flag right there for that. There's no sense in doing that. But he got away with it. Just 5 yards.
And so now it's 1st and 5 at the 38-yard line.
Of course, it's easy for me to say up here. If I was standing down there telling him he shouldn't have done that, I would have kept my mouth shut. He's a little bit bigger than me.
Bennett has been voted by his teammates as being the player with the worst body on the club. But that's, again, by his teammates. Dillon to Harrell. Sam Harrell into Oakland territory at the 47-yard line. Angelo Snipes undercut Harrell.
Well, if you can't get your running backs involved by running them, how about a middle screen? They're getting good pass rush, good pressure on Dillon, so you run the screen in the middle. He looks for Billy Kidd, 61, breaks off of his block. And then it takes Snipes with his great speed, as you mentioned, to catch up with him and pull him down. Good call. Breaks up the momentum, but Dillon still hasn't completed that 15, 20-yard pass to get his confidence back.
Scott McGee is back into the game now for Houston, injured earlier. And Dillon looking for anyone and finds Fowler for the first down. And Todd Fowler tight ropes for the touchdown. You can put an early star on the helmet of Todd Fowler, though he may be in Dallas next fall. He right now is the offensive star of this game for the Gamblers.
Boy, they needed this one real bad, Tim. First of all, he had McNeil deep for 6. But they get so much pressure from the defensive line that it forces him out of the pocket. Now he's looking for anybody to help him out. And I told you that the running backs had gotten involved because of John Jenkins in the run and shoot. And Fowler steps outside and then he's in.
Greenwood thought he had him. He thought he had pushed him out of bounds, but Fowler would have nothing to do with that. Tony Frisch tacks on the point. And with 4 minutes and 52 seconds left, the Houston Gamblers are on the scoreboard and trail 24-7.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom Mees in the ESPN Sports Center. Hope you're enjoying the first half action tonight from the Astrodome. Due to time considerations, we're going to have to leave the action for the remainder of the first half. While we were gone, there was no scoring change. So at the half, the score is Oakland Invaders 24, Houston Gamblers 7.
Get ready, New York, for the first title game to come your way in 20 years. The championship of the USFL. Sunday, July 14th, the United States Football League will crown its champion beginning at 8 p.m. at the Meadowlands. This is your chance to see football at its best. Tickets are available at the Meadowlands box office and all Ticketron outlets.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom Mees. We're at halftime at the Astrodome, and time now to take a look, as we do every week at this time, at some highlights of the other games. And this is the final weekend of the regular season in the USFL. The Men at Halftime Report is being brought to you by Speed Stick Deodorant. The wide stick gives you the edge. Speed Stick Deodorant by Menon. Sunday afternoon, College Park, Maryland. Tampa Bay Bandits kill themselves with turnovers against the Baltimore Stars. There goes Mike Johnson, intercepting a John Reeves pass. Touchdown. Stars lead at 10-0 early on. Kelvin Bryant is healthy. He had a big day again. Bryant breaks a couple of tackles, goes all the way, 66 yards for the touchdown. Look now, the Stars have won 5 of the last 6. Heading into the playoffs, Bryant ran for 114 yards, and he looked marvelous Sunday. Third quarter, Chuck Fusina under a heavy rush because Kelvin Bryant missed a block out of the backfield. No matter. Kelvin says, give me the football, I'll score. He goes 42 yards for the touch. Baltimore wins it in a walk.
You know, really, I was supposed to stay in and block that dude that was in his face, but I got my protection mixed up, and, you know, he just laid it out there, and wasn't nobody out there covering me because I was supposed to block that dude, and, you know, it was clear sailing from there.
Baltimore 38, Tampa Bay 10. The Stars rushing into the playoffs, the Bandits stumbling into the playoffs. Meanwhile, Jacksonville fans were upset that Robbie Mahfouz, a quarterback, was let go on Saturday, but it didn't seem to stop Mike Rozier and the Jacksonville Bulls. Rozier bowling in for a 1-yard touch, first to 4 on the day. The prettiest touchdown for Rozier, 34-yard effort late in the first quarter. Rozier's longest run from scrimmage of the year. Look at him, pull his way to the end zone. Rozier is headed for the NFL's Houston Oilers. That was announced earlier today. Back to the quarterback situation. They started Ed Luther now that Mahfouz was let go, and Ed Luther threw for 370 yards, 2 touchdowns, one of them there to Mike Rozier, and a 29-yarder from Ed Luther, who appears to be the quarterback of the future in Jacksonville, to Alton Alexis. The Bulls not going to the playoffs, but they hand the Denver Gold a 42-6 defeat. The Gold also stumbling in to postseason play. Last Friday night in Orlando on ESPN, this play epitomized the season for both Orlando and Los Angeles. Curtis Bledsoe fumbles into the hands of an Express player who fumbles it right back to Bledsoe. And on the next play, quarterback Reggie Collier beats the blitz, hits Jeff Smith, who avoids a tackle. Smith takes it in on a rainy night in Orlando, and the Renegades lead at 7-0. But the LA Express, to their credit, played hard, answered right back. Tony Bodie scores. We're tied at halftime at 10-10. Late in the third quarter, LA's Frank Sire, back to pass, has plenty of time, but his pass is tipped and intercepted by Jeff George. George eventually, as he's going down to the turf, says, well, I'm not going anywhere, so he gives it to Victor Jackson. Jackson spins for a few more yards as the Renegades fought hard their last game at home this year. Orlando capitalized. Reggie Collier to the veteran Joey Walters. Watch the move by Walters on the wet turf. 2 LA men fall all over each other. Walters falls into the end zone. Hey, let's hear it for Lee Corso. The Renegades win their finale 17-10. More highlights now from the final weekend of the regular season in the USFL. They called it the Temple of Doom to the Generals players about the Meadowlands. That's because they were undefeated at home and the visiting teams hadn't fared too well. Herschel Walker came into the game Sunday against Birmingham with 11 straight 100-yard-plus games. but not on Sunday. Both offenses had first-half problems. After an interception gave the Stallions great field position, Jim Smith fumbled away inside the New Jersey 15. The only offense in the first half from the toe of Roger Ruzek, the excellent place kicker of the New Jersey Generals. Generals led it 6-0 at halftime. But the third quarter, everything changed. The Stallions' offense got going. Cliff Stout to Jim Smith, a 3-yard bullet pass, touchdown, and Raleigh Dodge, head coach of Birmingham, is happy about that on the sidelines. On New Jersey's next possession, quarterback Ron Reeves has some time, but his pass is intercepted by Ted Walden, a free safety. He returns it 46 yards for a touchdown, and Walt Michaels knows he's in big trouble, trailing 14-6. But remember, they have the two-point conversion in the USFL. If the Generals can only score late in the fourth quarter, there's their chance. Fourth down, and Ron Reeves goes for it all. But David Dumars of Birmingham tips the football. No matter, there's tight end Sam Bowers. If he can only catch the pass, the Generals could force an overtime, but no. Cliff Stout gives Raleigh Dodge the game ball. The Stallions win the Eastern Conference.
We're not one of the teams that gets a whole lot of respect in this league. Everybody talks about your Tampas and Oaklands and Denvers and Houstons and New Jerseys and Memphis. And, oh, yeah, Birmingham played this week. So we've got nobody to impress but ourselves because really not a whole lot of people watch what we do. So that's the most satisfying thing.
Well, the Stallions win the game 14-6. They'll be at home for as long as they're in the playoffs going up to the championship game. Meanwhile, Saturday night on ESPN in Memphis, a shootout between the Outlaws of Arizona and the Memphis Showboats. Doug Williams to Reggie Brown gives the Outlaws a 14-10 lead. Later in the second quarter, Mike Kelly rolls right, takes it in from the 1. Showboats lead it 17-14. Late in the half with it 24-14 Memphis, Doug Williams back to pass. Got plenty of time, throws, but he gets picked off by Ron Osborne, who returns it all the way to the Arizona Outlaws 17-yard line. He took the overland route, but he did the job. On the next play, Mike Kelly, who's just been excellent since being moved in as a starter about mid-season, hits Gerald Bradley. He takes it in for the touch, 31-14 at halftime. Memphis is on a roll. Third quarter, Memphis setting up for a field goal, but remember the holder is quarterback Walter Lewis. He rolls right and finds Van Heflin. The Boats win it 38-28, and the fireworks are going off in Memphis, where the Showboats will be at home at least in the first week of the playoffs. Sunday night in San Antonio, the second largest crowd in Gunslinger history, 19,603, may have been their last chance to see the Guns. Slingers leading Portland 7-3 second quarter. Rick Neuheisel to Jerry Gordon, nice catch, and it's a 26-yard score, and the young cheerleaders in Texas are learning from the veterans. In the third quarter, Don Roberts, who ran for San Antonio's first touchdown, gets a Neuheisel aerial hair touchdown. The Gunslingers win it 21-13 over the Portland Breakers and end a long season for them on a happy note. In case you tuned in late tonight to our live USFL coverage, be advised that the Western Conference champion Oakland Invaders are having their own way with the Houston Gamblers in the Astrodome, and it looks for all the world now like Oakland will be home against Tampa Bay in the playoffs, and Houston will have to go to Birmingham. First quarter, Frank Corral's punt for the Gamblers is blocked by Randy McClanahan, who also recovers the blocked punt in the end zone. 10-0, Invaders on top. Later, in a rather lengthy first quarter, Bobby Hebert decides to go up top under heavy pressure. He hits Derek Holloway, his former Michigan Panther teammate. These two are quite a combination, almost as lethal as the Hebert to Anthony Carter combination. That TD made it 17-0. Second quarter, after Oakland went up 24-0, Houston does get on the board. Todd Dillon under pressure, rolling right, dumps it off to Todd Fowler. Young man headed for the Dallas Cowboys come the fall, goes down the sideline, gets a good block, and completes a 48-yard touchdown pass and run play. Oakland 24, Houston 7. Let's see if the Gamblers have anything left in the second half to rally and make it close, or maybe come back and win it. Let's go back to the Astrodome.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. This is Tim Brando along with Mike Hafner. It is 20 this game. Without one big play by Todd Fowler, it would be a shutout for the Invaders. And statistically, they've dominated in every facet, with the exception of time of possession, but you can rule that out because of everything else.
And again, you mentioned Todd Fowler's long touchdown pass that was really a mistake by David Greenwood, and that gave him the passing yardage edge. But I think really the edge in the game is that Oakland on first down running the football has put the defense of the Houston Gamblers in a sweat. You can see 75 yards rushing to almost nil for Houston 23. And that may be a big difference. Also, Houston has turned the ball over 3 times.
Houston's possessions, and they just had all kinds of problems getting their offense on track early on. The blocked punt, of course, led to a touchdown for McClanahan.
Everything broke down, Tim. Their special teams with the blocked punt, their passing game, which is their bread and butter, 2 interceptions. And if it wasn't for that TD at the end there, it could be really bad.
And then they blundered again at the end of the half. Misuse of timeouts and so on, and came up empty. Now, Oakland they had their problems early on, used a pass interception to lead to the field goal you see there on their second possession, but then they got it going. Touchdown. The interceptions got in the way, though they did move the ball both times before the interceptions. And then another touchdown on about a 4.5-minute drive as we closed out the first half.
It's a feeling of presence about a team on the field and a half, and you just knew that Oakland controlled the first half all the way, even when they were sparring early and Houston's defense was getting to them.
There you see the crowd, or the lack of a crowd, and that's been the case with Houston. It's been the case with Denver. Now this is
Oakland too.
This is a city that had 35,000 people on hand when Denver played Houston earlier in the year, and here we are now, not knowing whether or not there will be a team in Houston. The fans not knowing whether or not they'll have a team here in Houston. Few people want them to stay. That's obvious. And we here at ESPN, we're not aware when and or if we will have another USFL game for you in the fall of '86.
Could be a split season.
Yep, there's been a lot of talk about that. Nothing at this point has been etched in stone, but you do get the feeling that the league, if it's going to act, must and probably will act early after the season concludes.
And they need to spread out their public relations over those 12 months after the playoffs to keep national interest up for the USFL. It's going to be very difficult with the NFL season, college football going on.
When you go back 3 years ago, when the league was born, tactically, every move that was made for a reason and at the proper time. They got all the positive press. You never saw more than one coach, one big-name coach named a head coach in one day.
Space it out.
It was systematically handled. And you really got the belief that Dave Dixon's brainchild was on its way, and spring football would work out. John Bassett's team, the Jacksonville franchise. There have been some franchises that have been well supported, and Charlie Sumner's team, though, not one of those. The city of Oakland really has turned its back on the Invaders, and there they are, one of the best teams, if not the best in this league.
The eastern half of the United States has supported the USFL this spring. This spring, the western half of the United States has turned thumbs down.
And you have to believe the fact that word was out that the league would move to the fall prior to this season getting underway. Had to hurt teams like Houston and teams like Denver that historically had drawn well.
And one of the owners for Houston came out, and guys woke up in the morning and looked at it, and it said, yes, gamblers probably will move to Chicago. And the fans said goodbye before the season was over.
All right, so we're set for what might be the last 30 minutes of USFL spring football. And Sean Faulkner will hesitate and then bring it out. And he who hesitates can't get past the 15-yard line. Tommy Myers made the stop. Todd Fowler also in on the pile. And we should mention that, yes, there will be playoff action in the spring, but certainly where regular season action is concerned, this is it.
Faulkner, as soon as he said to himself, should I or shouldn't I, he shouldn't have.
Bobby Hebert pitching about 50% in every category. Touchdown, an interception, and 7 out of 14. What a career he's had in this league. He's one guy that's happy the USFL was born. Derek Holloway up at the top of your screen on 1st and 10 at the 12. Albert Bentley wrapped up by Hawkins and Browner. He gets to about the 15, where it'll be 2nd down and 8 yards to go. Andy Hawkins, who played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 1980. Really a great situation when you know your brother's on the opposite side of you. You have to have that sixth sense about where the other one's got to be.
Yeah, you tried to build that ESP between linebackers, and you already got to build in when two brothers are playing outside.
Newton is in the game with one setback now. Williams gets it. Boy, he got by in a hurry, Kiki Diala. And once he did, it broke that plane. He was off to the races and did pick up the first down before Mike Mitchell made the hit.
If you're running inside against a 3-4, you got to block both middle linebackers to get yardage. You're playing against the 4-3, and you beat the inside middle linebacker, the only one. The next guy you meet's the strong safety, or the free safety. In this case, it was the free safety, Durwood Rockmore. There's the defensive line. See the outside pass rush? They're going for the pass. Take the outside pass rush, and then they run inside and get big yardage.
Reggie Irving really caught Biella and gave Williams room. There he is again. Up to the 32-yard line, another healthy gain before Ross Browner makes the stop. Well, tonight we'll be talking a great deal about records, individual records in this league, both this year and throughout the 3-year course of the United States Football League. Remember this, we may have set a record all time for total time in a first half. We had a 2-hour first half.
It was long.
If it's not a record, it's awfully close. That's what happens when you have free-spirited offensive play. We've had that tonight. 2nd and 5 at the 32. Little play action, and Gordon Banks, who has been there on 2nd and 5s and 3rd and 5s all night long, has another first down in front of Mike Mitchell at the 45-yard line. They've been giving Mike Mitchell a workover tonight.
Show you what a good running game will do for you. Bobby Hebert, play action pass. Fakes the sweep to Williams. Now he negates the rush with that. You got to play run first when you fake the handoff. There's the throw. And Banks, who is set up down the sidelines, is right there. And there's the catch. Oh, you put the defensive backs and linebackers in a sweat with play action pass.
1st and 10 just beyond the 45-yard line for Oakland. Drive began at their own 12. And Fitzpatrick, who has made a number of big plays for the Gamblers tonight, makes another one, stopping Bentley for no gain.
Get a 6-foot, 250-pounder who's got the quickness that Fitzpatrick has. You want to run right at him, but every once in a while he'll guess the right side and he'll stop you for no gain.
Now, there are those that would say he has the tree stump look, but he has more moves than a tree stump.
You know, I've got a feeling that the new wave of defensive linemen will be quickness first and then size. It used to be, how big can we make them so that they can block up lots of holes?
He actually lost a yard. It's 2nd and 11 now for Bobby Hebert. He threw that one. I believe he just lost that one. That was his palm ball that went out of bounds. Banks was the intended receiver. He did get a great deal of pressure, though, and just sort of dumped it off.
Better to throw it to your sideline than to a defensive back. He did that one twice tonight.
162 yards so far for Hebert. You have to wonder in a run and shoot how effective he would be. And this team with the receivers that they have.
As well as he throws the football, you give him that many opportunities in a run and shoot, he'd be outstanding.
Wes Howell is in the game. He goes into the slot left. Up at the top of your screen is Derek Holloway. Newton and Williams are the setbacks. 3rd and 11, and there goes Hebert to the turf. And look who's on top of him. Caton first, Fitzpatrick second. That's number 2 for Caton in this game.
Well, you got 3rd down and 11 again. The defensive linemen know you're not going to run the football. So they're taking the outside pass rush. And with a right-handed quarterback, you want the rush to come from his left side. Guess where it came from? Hello, Pete and Tony.
And so now it's 4th down and 23, and Stan Talley called upon to punt. 45 yards his last one, but it was a low trajectory and aided McNeil in a 23-yard return. Another low one. McNeil has to go backwards, but again, now has the momentum. Up to the 41-yard line, John Sullivan made the hit. And we had every impression that it could have gone perhaps farther. 24-7 our score, just underway in the 3rd quarter. USFL Monday Night is brought to you by Nissan, who invites you to test drive the sizzling 300ZX Turbo. one of the world's great sports cars, the 300ZX. It is awesome. 9:47 left in the third quarter, and the Gamblers have it, and Dillon undershoots Verdun. Verdun was open again.
Starts the second half like he played the first half. That's not good.
Now, tentative has been a term we've used from time to time here, and let's see if it is a tentative pass.
Watch his feet. That's the way you tell. See, didn't get him set. Throws the ball across his body. Wasn't a strong response. He's got to get going. If they can score here, Tim, cut it to 10 points early in the third quarter, this game won't be over.
At the 40-yard line, you can certainly say they have good field position to start with off that return by McNeil. And there's a pass that had no chance from the outset. Harrell stopped by Ray Bentley.
You need to catch the linebackers in a blitz when you throw a screen. Ray Bentley was just standing there waiting for Harrell to catch it.
Bentley's dad, Ron Bentley, played at Michigan under Duffy Daugherty and coached and played semi-pro football for some time. So it's in the family where Bentley's concerned. He spent time at Central Michigan, now in his fourth year. Todd Dillon, all eyes are cast upon him tonight in the second half. Incomplete. Oliver Davis blanketed Sanders, the intended receiver, and it's fourth down, and the Gamblers must punt. Not the way to start if you're Todd Dillon in the second half.
Especially down 24-7. You want to at least throw a scare into that Oakland defense. And there's no Jim Kelly to go to.
Frank Corral will have to punt, and that has been an adventure tonight for Houston as well. A couple of punts nearly blocked, one that was for a touchdown. Doesn't help his average at all. Sean Faulkner is back deep for the Invaders, waiting around his 20. Faulkner. Well, he got away from a couple of would-be tacklers, is nailed at the 30-yard line. And that's where the Invaders will open up when we come back. Our score 24-7. We'll return to the Astrodome in just a moment.
We said that Kevin McLean, the special teams coach of the Houston Gamblers, would make an adjustment on their punt blocking. And you see Reggie Bonner, 41, taking McClanahan directly out of the play. He's the guy who blocked it twice. And then to remind him that you aren't going to block anymore. And then McClanahan trips him just for the heck of it.
24-7, third quarter, 8:32 left. Tim Brando and Mike Hafner with you. USFL on ESPN Monday night for the final time in the regular season in the spring. A play fake from Hebert, and Banks. He's been open all night, and look at him go again to the 45-yard line of the Gamblers. Rockmore finally knocked him out of bounds. You have to wonder how Banks can get that far open with that much room between himself and the defender.
First of all, it's a play-action fake. They catch him in zone defense, and it's a timing pass. He takes a deep route, and you see Mike Mitchell slip a little bit trying to come back. He's playing the deep route first. Banks knows he has time to get deep and then come back because of the play action. And he's been standing over on that sidelines waving at people saying, ain't nobody around here, Bobby, throw it to me.
Well, yeah, you know they respect his speed. Otherwise, there wouldn't be that much room.
True.
First and 10 at the 44 with 7.5 left. Bentley and Williams, the starting backfield behind Hebert. Williams, what a crease. Needs one block, doesn't need that. Touchdown, Invaders. Gordon Banks provided a shield for about 5 yards, and that's all Williams needed. After some fantastic blocking up front, Penny and Jeff Wiska paved the way for Williams.
Watch the left side of the line. Excellent blocks. And then the cutback running. You get everybody on the defense flowing one way, and then you cut back against them. You see Mike Mitchell, he had to turn around. He was going the other way. And then Williams uses his great speed to beat Mitchell, who had to turn and then accelerate. Mitchell's already going full blast on the cutback. This is Kiki Diala's man. He takes the inside move. He's blocked by 56, Tom Turnier. Then it's a little arm tackle and goodbye.
Boyovich with the extra point. Well, the Gamblers had the ball at their 40-yard line on their opening possession, had a chance to cut it to 10. Now they're down by 24 with half of the third quarter left. That'll be a lot of fun. The PBA Tour stop with a fellow Denverite, a friend of yours, Irv Brown, and Mike Durbin along for that.
I love the summer bowling tour.
Have you broken 200?
Oh, a number of times.
Number of times. You'll have to tell Irv that. Corville takes it about 5 yards deep, and he won't bring it out. Did it take 2 or 3 games to break 200?
9.
Oh. Well, now the Gamblers trailing 31-7. They had their opportunity on the first possession, and Todd Dillon, I know, is saying to himself, gee, I'm having a bad night. But still, 7:08 left third quarter. There is time, but a lot is going to have to happen quickly, and the trend is going to have to change in a hurry for Todd Dillon for it to be a game.
We saw Jim Kelly do it in the opener. They were down 31-7, came back and won at 34-31. 35-34, one of those.
Harrell, how many running plays have we seen from Houston? That has to be the longest gain from scrimmage, a gain of 10 plus. Vito McKeever made the stop. And there are going to be critics that will say, why didn't we see most of these earlier on in the game?
If you can show a running game in the run and shoot, the Denver Gold does it with Billy Johnson, you can really put the pass defense in a sweat. This is a little bit too late, though, I believe. They don't want to be running the football when they're down 31-7.
The Gamblers did pick up 28 points in one quarter last week against the Gunslingers after trailing 7-0. Dillon to Johnson. Nice little move by Johnson. Takes the detour to midfield. Oliver Davis forced him out of bounds. Todd Dillon now going with the intermediate passes, and it comes through.
He's proved that he can't throw the deep one tonight, so he's going to try and dink him. And another thing, too, Johnson's battling for the #1 receiver in the USFL for the second year in a row. Going in, he was 6-7 catches back. He's caught 2, so he's still got to catch a couple of more, and I think Todd Dillon will at least try to get Johnson that league lead.
The ball at the 49-yard line with 6:53 left in the third quarter. 31-7 Oakland. Little double pump, and there's Johnson again. Inside the 40 to the 39. David Greenwood and Randy McClanahan make the stop.
Well, do you suppose they listen to me? He's trying to get the reception lead in the USFL. It's just a little screen pass to the slot back, comes back inside, then he's going to use the block of his lineman. And he gets up for first down yardage. That's his second catch in a row.
And now with the ball inside the 40 at the 39, the Gamblers in less than a minute are in position to strike.
That's Johnson's 4th catch of the game. Needs 3 more to take the lead.
Sanders in motion. Dillon gets away, I don't know how, and then Sanders drops him. McNeil has dropped 3. Sanders now has dropped 2. And not that Dillon has had a great game. He's had his share of underthrows and overthrows, but misery does love company. Dillon does everything right, and then Sanders can't make the simple catch.
I talked to Jim Kelly at halftime. He said, yeah, Dillon's having a bad night, but so is his receivers. First of all, he does a heck of a job getting out of a trap here. Now he comes up. He's got Sanders wide open, makes the perfect throw. And here's the perfect drop coming up. I hate to say this as an old wide receiver. Oh, that one's tough.
And he had made the adjustment to find the opening there. 2nd and 10. Dillon slings it out to Johnson. A lot of room for Richard Johnson. Finally runs out of terrain along the first baseline at about the 5-yard line. Derek Martin made the stop. He needs only 2 to lead the United States Football League in receptions.
He's got 5 on the game, and again, it's that same little screen pass to the slot back. This time he gets the great blocks from his offensive lineman and then uses his speed and quickness to get down inside the 10-yard line. And another look at the quickness. Watch the first quick step when he sees he's in the open. There it is. See, made the little juke move, and now he is at top speed. You better be fast or you're not going to catch Richard.
This drive began with 7:15 left in the 3rd quarter. Now only 5:47 remaining. Dillon intercepted by John Sullivan. The free safety has had a good night tonight, and he has just padded his advantage with that interception.
2 safeties have really eaten Todd Dillon. It was Greenwood early in the first half. He made all the great plays. Now Sullivan comes back and picks one off that Todd Dillon would love to have back. Dillon again has plenty of time. This time no pressure. Looking for his open receiver. Sullivan came out of the blind spot. He was going for Ricky Sanders at the back of the end zone. Sullivan slipped into his vision just when Todd said, uh-oh.
So the Invaders lead it 31-7 and will return. The only accomplishment off that last drive for Houston was that they got Johnson closer to the United States Football League lead in receptions for the 2nd year in a row. He's now 2 away from Leonard Harris. Also out of a run and shoot from Denver. 31-7 Oakland with 5:39 left. That's Cozen, the tight end, in motion. Banks, incomplete. Will Lewis was back there covering. I tell you, Holloway and Banks, you take Anthony Carter out of this offense, and yes, you lose a vital cog in your machinery, but you don't lose much with Holloway and Banks as your wideouts, and Schumann coming in from time to time, do you?
No, you don't. And that's why they've been so effective. There are 4 receivers who can catch the football and have the great speed and moves too.
2nd and 10 at the 20-yard line off the interception by Sullivan. Bentley to about the 23, maybe the 24-yard line. Mike Mitchell, the cornerback, got underneath to make the stop.
The effect of the running game on your pass rush. Browner takes an inside move looking for the inside run, and Williams makes a great block, and Bentley gets the yardage. You know, we're talking about this receiving corps. You would expect it to be a good one. Fred Biletnikoff, not a bad player in his day. He kind of knows how to get people open. He knew how.
3rd down and 5. A long 5 for the Invaders. Hebert lofts it up for Bentley, and it's nearly intercepted. As a matter of fact, both Banks and Bentley were in the general area. You have to wonder how the 2 of them could have been so close to one another.
I think Banks got bumped off of his route. Let's watch. Or maybe it was Bentley. Yeah, see, he's supposed to be running the post pattern, and Mitchell got in the way, and I thought maybe Mitchell should have picked that one off.
Now Stan Talley's back into the game. Now remember, low punts each of the last 2 times for the leading punter in the USFL. Gerald McNeil is awaiting at about his 33-yard line. He got that one up. Moves McNeil backwards to about the 18. And though he does get 10 or 11 yards, that was easily the best punt of the night for Stan Talley. Randy McClanahan makes the stop, and the Invaders lead it by a score of 31-7. It could be last gasp time for the Gamblers. If you love sports, you got to be with ESPN on Saturday, June 29th. All the color and pageantry of the 1984 opening ceremonies of the Summer Olympic Games. See it all here on your source for sports.
15,797. Attendance.
Oh, thank you.
Spirit of excellence, yes.
Morrell up to about the 32-yard line. For a moment there, I thought you were about to give me statistics on the run and shoot.
That's close too.
That's close too, yeah.
They do make some production with the yardage.
Second down and 8 after that carry. 4 minutes and 12 seconds left. Again, still time for the Gamblers to make something happen.
The Invaders keep giving them opportunities.
Johnson in motion. And Johnson is one away now. He's up to the 41-yard line. Oliver Davis made the stop. The pass, not really where Johnson would have liked it, but yet a fine catch.
The timing is the key on the slot back out pattern. Now watch, as soon as he makes his break, the ball's on the way, and whoops, a little bit behind him, and good receivers make that catch. And he gets the first down. And as you said, Tim, one reception away from taking the lead. He's now tied. 101 receptions for the year.
And 101 yards tonight off 6 receptions. And Todd Fowler has a first down and then fumbles. And it's John Sullivan on top of it at the 48-yard line.
I'd throw the red flag on this. If they say it's a fumble.
Now remember, the ground cannot cause a fumble.
At least that's the way it reads in the rules. Let's see what happens. We're going to get, first of all, Todd Fowler on the draw play. Now watch. Are the knees down before the ball comes out? There's the hit. He's on the ground. It's hard to tell from there. Oh, I don't know. Boy, that is real close. Oh, they're definitely going to throw the red flag. There's no doubt in my mind. We'll see if Mr. Finley, the replay referee, well, I don't know. That's why I don't wear a striped shirt.
Bob Finley is the review official, and they'll be on the phone with him here in a moment. Here it is again.
The decision will be, were the knees down? Well, he turns over on his back, and the ball comes out after he's down. It looked, again, we're going to find out. Let Mr. Finley do it. That's what he's paid for.
I'd have to say that Houston's going to hold on to it here. If they're ever going to win one.
Anthony Carter trying to figure out what the call's going to be.
He was on his back.
The runner was down.
Yep.
There is no fumble.
I like the call, Mr. Finley. I like the call.
I like the rule.
I do too.
That's why you have to like the rule. Yes, it may stop play for a time, and perhaps from time to time the angle is not proper, and that also causes a little controversy, but it helps make the game a fun game, and that's what really is the billing, if you will, of the United States Football League. And therein lies the reason for the rule. Charlie Sumner says, well, I don't know about that theory.
Well, they were just getting even. You know, Houston lost the first red flag decision in the history of the USFL. It was against Denver here.
Boy, you're an Encyclopedia Britannica of the USFL, Hapney. And it's caught by Cornwell, but out of bounds, it appears. Yes, at about the 13-yard line.
He complained a little, but no red flag here. 1 foot in and 1 foot clearly out. Fade route to the outside. That's got to be a perfect pass, or the sideline turns into the best defensive back on the field.
18 of 39, 218 yards, yes, but 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown.
And he's really struggled tonight. Oh, you have to give some credit to the defensive team of the Oakland Invaders, but Todd's not had one of his better nights, despite the high production of yards.
Sanders in motion. Todd Fowler. That one was snuffed out by some linemen and linebackers that stayed at home, including Snipes and McClanahan. You have to give the Oakland Invader linebacking core a lot of credit tonight.
Played an outstanding game. And again, if you're going to stop the run and shoot, it's either with 6 defensive backs or some very active and quick linebackers. And you pointed it out earlier. Snipes at 6'2", 208. Some speed back there that can match the slot back.
3rd and 11 now for the Gamblers. Johnson with markers down. Now, if they nullify this play, he won't have the lead, single season receiving lead. John Sullivan made the stop. We'll wait for Verl Sorgen here.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 71 of the offense. Loss of down.
So they'll take the penalty, Tim, and it won't count, that reception.
That's right. And you lose the down anyway. Rob Taylor, the former Northwestern player, now in his 4th year, got caught. Not a very happy Jack Pardee. Heard some stories said about the true grit of Pardee during his days with Texas A&M. He and John David Crow, they used to have some practices under Bear that were a bear. Pardee, one of the few survivors of that era.
Well, I'll tell you what, those two against each other in a scrimmage, one of the doors locked.
Yeah, one of the great lines too by Bear Bryant was, the guys that survived those practices, you remember their names. The guys that didn't, no one remembers them. Frank Corral will punt it away. He'll get it off at about his 30-yard line. 1:38 left in the 3rd quarter. Faulkner on the run. Bounces off Todd Fowler and is up to the 34-yard line, where it will be 1st and 10 for the Invaders. In a game that they have had control of since the outset. A lot of great golf coming up on ESPN all through June and July. The Canadian Open coming up the 1st week in July. 2 weeks later, it'll be the British Open. First 2 days of coverage from the British Open. And who knows will win in professional golf these days. You can just throw up the 2-headed coin and see what happens. Just outside of Houston, we'll have LPGA coverage. A Hall of Fame tournament coming up. And, of course, the latest highlights and news each Wednesday with an informative half-hour program inside the PGA Tour. The golf is great on ESPN in 1985. 31-7 is our score. The Oakland Invaders leading the Houston Gamblers. And again, the Invaders now off a victory, and they're a little better than a quarter away from that victory. Would have the opportunity to play Tampa Bay at home rather than Baltimore. And Charlie Sumner, though he probably wouldn't openly admit it, would have to rather see Tampa Bay with the roller coaster ride they've been on as opposed to,
I think he'd admit it. Tampa Bay's on a slight slide, you might say.
Bentley and Hebert were crossed up, but Bentley found room anyway. Out to the 45-yard line before Will Lewis made the stop. They had problems with the exchange, and I'm wondering if without those problems, if Bentley wouldn't have had the room.
Yeah, if you run the play perfect, it's probably stopped for a 2-yard gain.
They mark the ball at the 46-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10, and there's another 1,000-yard club member, Albert Bentley. One of 13 children. He had to struggle for his yards. He had to struggle to eat at a time in his life.
That'll make you athletic when you got to fight with 12 other kids to get food. Huh?
That's right. A little delay to Bentley. He finds 5 more. And the The crowd here is growing indifferent to their gamblers' output here late. Rayford Cooks made the stop in for Ross Browner out of North Texas State, a rookie. There are the disgruntled gambler fans here for perhaps the final time. It's 31-7 at the end of 3 quarters.
Here's pro football quarterback Danny White for Bike.
Folks, the word's out. Bike coaches shorts aren't just for coaches anymore. They're for everybody. These are the original coaches shorts. Comfortable and versatile. Missed a spot. Great for golf or softball or a neighborhood football game. I throw them, I don't catch them. I would wear them to work, but I wear another Bike original instead. When you want the original, what you want is Bike.
Get ready, New York, for the first title game to come your way in 20 years. The championship of the USFL. Sunday, July 14th, the United States Football League will crown its champion beginning at 8 p.m. at the Meadowlands. This is your chance to see football at its best. Tickets are available at the Meadowlands box office and all Ticketron outlets.
The ones that are here are making the most of the time they have remaining as springtime football fans as we open play in the 4th quarter. Tim Brando and Mike Hafner with you on 2nd and 4. Oakland at the 47 of Houston. A pump fake by Hebert. Incomplete. Banks was back there along with Rockmore and Mike Mitchell. Gordon Banks has had a handful of catches tonight.
Bobby Hebert said, running out and up for me. There's the stop and go. And the problem is Hebert was going to throw it no matter what. And the problem was Rockmore and Mitchell were both right there waiting for Banks, and he paid for it. That's it. Hang him out there, Bobby. You know, it's an Anthony Carter, Tim, who comes up with the catch in those kind of situations.
And if you had been a former quarterback, you wouldn't have said that, right?
That's true. That's true. It's always the quarterback's fault.
3rd and 4. Williams to about the 45. He's about 2 or 3 yards shy of the first down. Ross Browner, Cleveland Crosby just into the game, and Luther Bradley all in on the pile for Houston. It'll be 4th down and short yardage. And Stan Talley will come out to punt. Gerald McNeil will drop back deep. The Gamblers now, it would appear, unless they stage a run-and-shoot rally that we'll not soon forget, will be headed for Birmingham. And a Saturday date, which would in essence only give them 3 days to prepare here before going there. Talley going for the coffin corner again.
Boomed it.
Yeah, going for the coffin corner. And it's out of bounds at the 7-yard line. And he's smiling from ear to ear. Charlie Sumner and Jack Pardee, 2 defensive minds heading up both clubs. Sumner's the happy one. USFL Monday Night is brought to you by Mazda and the full line of sophisticated Mazda products. Less than a minute deep in the 4th quarter. The Gamblers on their patio, and that's Clarence Verdun finding his way to about the 8-yard line for a gain of maybe 1, perhaps 2. Randy McClanahan made the stop. They have utilized this play from time to time throughout this half. Sooner or later, it won't work.
Yeah, eventually, the defense has seen it enough times to stop it. Oh, and he almost dropped the ball to begin with. Now, Clarence... Oh, I'll tell you, Verdun saying, hey, you ran it to Johnson twice when they didn't think it was coming. Now you get it to me.
He does have 1,000 yards receiving on the year after that. Now a little bit more. Out to about the 12-yard line. Still shy of the first down. Snipes and Sullivan over there to make the hit.
We had Verdun isolated all the way. We knew he was going to get the football.
Verdun, another one of The Raging Cajuns, who have made their way into the United States Football League and have been rather successful, played at USFL. You'll find a lot of skilled position players in Louisiana.
Oh, come on.
You will. Trust me.
There's a bunch of quarterbacks. That's for sure.
3rd and 5. We have some premature movement in the line. And Sam Harrell makes his way out to about the 14-yard line. Doug Holly made the stop. There was some movement in the line, though I don't see a flag. Well, it's late, right?
Is that your excuse? All right, we'll use that one. I've got a feeling frustration with a capital F for the offense for Houston.
And Frank Corral will have to boot it from his end zone. Averaging only 31 yards per punt. That is not the norm for Corral. Sean Faulkner at about his 45-yard line awaiting. McClanahan again.
Got it blocked, I think.
I believe he got a piece of it, or at least he obstructed the view of Corral enough to make it a problem. He says, that's 2. Thank you.
John Wildhack, our producer, the master of the reaction shot. And guess what? He had him isolated, and watch him get the ball for the 3rd time tonight. Yep, right off the top of the left-hand finger.
That's almost the equivalent of 2 dunk shots for McClanahan. 31-7 our score. We'll return to the Astrodome in just a moment. Tim Brando and Mike Hafner back with you at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The Oakland Invaders winding up its regular season along with the Gamblers tonight. And for Oakland, they have invaded the Dome and have come away with the spoils, at least to this juncture, and have the momentum headed for the playoffs. And there's a fumble by Williams, or Newton, I should say, and he comes up with it. Cleveland Crosby on top of Newton.
That was a great athletic play to get that fumble back.
Really
that was even better in the run. It's got 4 wideouts, 1 remaining back, Tom Newton. Now watch. The ball just slips right through. Now, this is a great play to get the ball back. There were 2 gamblers right there. He squibs it away with his arm and tucks it in his tummy to recover the ball.
Fitzpatrick made the hit, and then it was Cleveland Crosby that could not get between Newton and the ball. 2nd and 14 coming up. Cozen, the tight end, who has only caught 8 passes this year, 1 for a touchdown. That one went over his head. He had one reception last week against New Jersey that aided the Invaders.
2nd down and long. Holloway's been the guy who has gotten the deep route. So Will Lewis making sure he isn't going to get anywhere, and then he holds on to him a little bit.
3rd down and 14. Wes Howell in the game in the slot to the top of your screen on 3rd and 14. Hebert. Boy, he got away from some pressure there. Throws it away. Banks, the intended receiver. Fitzpatrick gave the pressure. Dennis Devon was covering Banks. Hebert was running for his life back there.
This was an all-out blitz, Tim. All 3 linebackers coming, all 4 down linemen, of course. And I don't know how Bobby got out of it. He's not noted for his scrambling. And his receivers didn't think he was going to get out of it either because none of them got open. Kiki's going to drill him. Look out.
Fitzpatrick got to him,
there first, yeah.
Boy, Diallo's probably bleeding Fitzpatrick's ear right now with that open shot that he had taken away. Stan Talley to punt. No one back deep now for the Gamblers. They're going to bring everyone. And Talley again softly plants it inside the 10, but it rolls into the end zone, where it will be 1st and 10 for the Gamblers when we return. It's 31-7 Invaders.
Friday, ESPN prepares for our complete rebroadcast of the '84 Summer Olympics. Watch famous athletes carry the fire in the Olympic torch relay Friday.
That'll be a lot of fun. A touch of Americana on ESPN Friday night, carrying the fire as we kick off our Spirit of Excellence in the months of June and July. Here with the ball at the 20, Richard Johnson breaks the record and gains 5 yards. Out to the 25 before Sullivan takes him out of bounds.
Well, at least he got the league lead. He's a ways from his record of 115 in one season. He's got 102, and he leads the USFL and will for the regular season.
That's 2 years in a row. 102 for Richard Johnson. Well, congratulations from Scott McGee. So a few away from his all-time record. Does break the single-season record this year. And McNeil catches this one in traffic at about the 37-yard line. It's been Gerald McNeil's misfortune to have dropped a few today. Oliver Davis made the stop of McNeil. And it's now 1st and 10 coming up. And there's Gerald McNeil. Now in the 1,000-yard club. Only the San Diego Chargers have had 3 receivers in a season with 1,000 yards or better. Now that's the accomplishment of this Gambler offense, the run and shoot theory. Sanders out of bounds inside midfield, about the 48 of Oakland. Vito McKeever and Angelo Snipes made the stop. 9:59 left. The United States Football League leading receivers. Johnson leads. Verdun is in there. Harris does have more yards. But you can see the effects of the run and shoot. 3 of the 6, or actually 4 of the 6, come from run and shoot offenses.
Lewis and Harris from Denver. Verdun and Johnson from Houston.
At the 48, 1st and 10. Sanders in motion. And Todd Fowler again with the opening. Out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. Greenwood and McKeever made the stop. And again, you hate to beat the horse too much, but Fowler has had some room. They just haven't gone to him that often in this situation.
They haven't gone to him that often all year. And of course he was injured early, but your big fullback in the run and shoot should have a productive season running the football. If defenses are going to play 6, 7 defensive backs against you, you want that big stud running into the secondary a while, and they haven't done it well this year.
At the 35, 1st and 10, and Dillon does find Fowler. Interference will be the call on McClanahan. He had a piece of Fowler's jersey at the 35. Dillon is down on the AstroTurf. He was bothered greatly there by Doug Holly and Monty Bennett. Verl Sargent thinking about this one for a while. You have to wonder if Fowler had gotten beyond the line of scrimmage.
Also, too, was Dillon really a runner in that situation? And was he blocking
interference? Defense.
Well, we got the answer, but it did come after some conversation.
That's tough on a linebacker. The quarterback scrambling around back there. Is he going to run? Is Todd Fowler going to block me? Is he a pass receiver? That puts you in a little bit of a sweat.
Now, McClanahan's due for one mistake tonight. Puts the ball down at the 20-yard line.
There's a look. Oh, well, goodness. He's got a hold of his jersey and everything else. If he didn't call him for pass interference, he could have called him for holding to begin with.
So now the ball at the 20-yard line with just better than 9 minutes to play in the game, and the Gamblers need to score and score quickly. Tim Moore, but Dillon gets away from Moore, now has room. Nice cut back by Dillon to the 3. Well, he did that last week against San Antonio, where he gave a little juke move and forced 2 gunslingers to run into one another.
Then ran in for a touchdown.
Yeah, but he came close again that time. Reuben Vaughn made the hit.
Well, when you're having tough time throwing the football, Make a move with your legs. First of all, he shouldn't have gotten away from this pass rush. McClanahan missed him with an arm tackle. Now Reuben Vaughn's chasing him. And Dillon makes the little move. Lets Vaughn overrun him.
And Angelo Snipes also was taking the fake.
The critics of the run and shoot say this is where the offense sputters. If you haven't got a running game, you haven't got a lead blocker, it's tough to get in the end zone from here.
Harrell.
Just when I say it, right?
Touchdown.
Oh, well. I can't be an expert every time, right?
I'll say what I said earlier. It is late.
Yes. Yeah, get me out of this one, Tim, will you?
It is late in the year. You got to remember, Oakland does have a 18-point lead. But Sam Harrell did find the opening here, and the Gamblers are closer now.
A couple good blocks, one by Scott Boucher that really popped him open, number 60. Sam's not used to that this year. He had a big season last year. There's that little trap block again, 60, Boucher. Gives Harrell just enough room to get in.
And Tony Frisch, who has only between him and the point lead, Herschel Walker, will try to tack on the extra point.
Oh, Billy Kidd paid that time.
Carl Allen is the center.
I'm sorry, it was Carl Allen. 61's kid. Allen got...
Well, he got nailed by, I believe that was Vaughn or Tim Moore, one or the other.
Backside over Tea Kettle.
Encroachment. Defense.
Hey, go for two now?
Yeah, well, Tony Frisch does not have an opportunity to catch Herschel Walker's scoring lead anyway.
Way out.
And they'll go for two. When you start talking about careers perhaps coming to an end with the possibility of Houston moving somewhere else, you have to wonder where Tony Frisch might wind up as a kicker next season.
They like to run the little crossing pattern to 22 Richard Johnson. See if they do it here.
Go with Fowler, and they didn't fool anyone.
Should have gone with the crossing pattern to Richard Johnson.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, that's perhaps the problem with the run and shoot down close without a lead blocker. 31-13 our score. 8 minutes and 7 seconds are left in regular season spring football in the United States Football League. Doug Holly injured on the try for two, the defensive end, and it looks to be the knee.
Well, they've got Dave Browning hurt too, the other defensive end. Holly's filling in for him. That could hurt him going into the playoffs.
They could press Bob Standifer into duty, perhaps, the rookie from Tennessee Chattanooga. He's out of action as well because he has been hurt. Whether they can bring him back, one doesn't know. Don't forget, coming up live Wednesday night at 8 p.m., the Kessler Open from Dublin, California at Earl Anthony's. Coming up live, it'll be Irv Brown and Mike Durbin on hand for all of that. 8 p.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. on the West Coast. Wednesday night, PBA on ESPN. 31-13 our score. The Invaders led 24-7 at halftime. It has just not been the kind of night the Gamblers had to have offensively to stay with the best of the West. And Corral got rid of that one. And the Invaders will open up at the 20-yard line. Just over 8 minutes left. When you stop and consider, Mike, that the Invaders now have to take on, you'd have to believe with Hebert trotting onto the field that they've got to be thinking about Tampa Bay next week. They have to feel good about this win, the incentive being not playing a hot club in Baltimore.
Also, they get Anthony Carter back next week. Could have played this week. They've had a good offensive production. they'll walk into the game with the confidence they can put points on the board and also shut down a good offense. Tampa Bay runs a similar run and shoot, even though they use the tight end. They throw it a lot.
And Houston obviously is saying, well, we're happy we got this one out of our system before we go into the playoffs. There's a fumble, and the Gamblers have it. Sean Faulkner fumbled it, and Andy Hawkins fell atop it. So the backup running back gets the ball, and just that quickly the Gamblers are in business.
How many times have we seen this? We saw it in New Jersey. They took Herschel out after he'd had a long game in the fourth quarter. Put Rod Pegues in off the bench. He was cold. First time he carried the ball, he fumbled. Here we get the same situation.
Diella stripped it. Kiki Diella. And Andy Hawkins got it.
Well, Faulkner hadn't done much but return punts. He gets his first chance to carry the ball, puts it on the ground.
First and 10, still time for the Gamblers, and Johnson's wide open, and Dillon has got to be beside himself.
Based on what he's done before this evening, you would imagine that Dillon would be a little bit underconfident on where he's throwing the football. Johnson, nice post move to the outside, not a soul around. I can hear Richard saying, I don't get open like this all the time. Jay Mullen, our director, and John Wildhack, the producer, give you the exact feelings of Mr. Dillon. You can't get a guy like that open.
At the 21-yard line, second and 10. Sean Potts, the intended receiver. I beg your pardon, McGee. Scott McGee, and again, Dillon overshoots his intended receiver. And he's hearing the call of the Wild in Texas in the fourth quarter late when you're down by 18. There's Jim Kelly. And there are those that believe that if Houston were to leave this city, that Jim Kelly would have in his contract the ability to jump his contract and go elsewhere and play his football.
It's the way I understand it. I talked to him at halftime. He wouldn't tell it to me straight, but I believe that's the way it is.
Third and 10, Sanders has it. Can't get away from Oliver Davis inside the 20 at about the 17-yard line. The clock ticking down, and it is fourth down coming up for the Gamblers. 4th and 6 coming up.
And they will not kick a field goal, nor will they punt.
7:06 left, and the clock ticking down as you view it. And though it has not been a good night for Jack Pardee, you never want to say die. And with a touchdown here, who knows? We've seen more bizarre situations than this. Dillon. And that's Johnson. And he's right at the goal line. Stretching for the touchdown. He lost possession, but again, no fumble. The ground cannot force a fumble, and that was the case there.
Todd Dillon owed Richard Johnson one. He was wide open for a touchdown earlier in this series. This time he got it to him when he was wide open. Johnson diving to get the ball in there.
He did lose David Shaw, though, the linebacker, didn't he?
I did. That inside move and then back out.
At the 1-yard line, first and goal. 6 minutes left. Harrell. Touchdown.
And you go for 2 again here, Tim.
And if you get it, you're only 10 down with just less than 6 minutes to play.
You can't make 1 yard in pro football, then you go back to the drawing board with your running game, no matter what it is. A good enough job. Carl Allen, the center now, instead of Billy Kidd. And he gets enough of the surge so Harrell can get in for the touchdown, his second of the night.
They do go for 2. Dillon. Has some room. Sanders. Yes. Probably the best catch of the game and one of the better throws from Dillon, considering the type of night he's had.
All this hard work for a 2-yard gain, right? And a 2-point conversion. But it gets them within 10. That's what they wanted the last time around. Not a bad throw either, but a better catch. Thank you, Ricky Sanders, Todd Dillon will say when he gets back to the sidelines.
And that last try for 2 seemed meaningless earlier, but it's not meaningless now.
Absolutely. Great hand catch. You tell great receivers catch the ball in the hands and not have to get the body in front of the ball to catch it. Good job by Sanders. John Jenkins says he's the best athlete we have at wide receiver. He might not have all the great stats, but he's just a youngster, and he's got some size too.
Well, in fairness, and Johnson is an outstanding receiver, but slot backs, the run and shoot is built for the slot backs.
Yeah, they almost got me out of retirement after I saw the offense work a year ago.
Corral will kick off. And again, no one will return it. And the Invaders will start at their 20-yard line with 5:53 left. And Jack Pardee is telling his troops, hey, we haven't played well, but here we are just 10 down. We're at home. One good defensive series here, and Charlie Sumner's chance to play Tampa Bay at home rather than Baltimore will go by the boards. 5 plays, 21 yards off the fumble by Sean Faulkner, and how quickly we realize maneuvering backups in the fourth quarter.
Yep. There are 12 teams all sitting home watching this game, Tim, saying, who's going to win it so I can know where I'm playing?
Premature movement in the line again. Rayford Cooks now in the game at one of the tackle spots.
Encroachment, number 76, defense.
At least the clock isn't moving, and Houston has all 3 of their timeouts left. Be interesting to see how Jack Pardee uses them. Right away, save them for later.
Well, you'd almost, if you're in Houston's position, give up this first down on one play and say, all right, let's start over again and make them go 10 yards.
You want to force them to throw the football. 2nd and 5. 1st and 5 is not throwing down.
Williams and Bentley are back in the game, to say the least, behind Hebert. Williams, that's a first down, out to the 31-yard line. Derwood Rockmore made the stop along with Pete Caton. Cleveland Crosby, I beg your pardon, who clocked into the game for Caton just moments ago.
Defensive coach Jim Eddy will say, well, if we can't stop the clock, and if they're not going to throw it, if they run, tackle the football, not the player. See if he can cause that fumble again. They went after it. But when you try to tackle the ball, 9 times out of 10, you don't get the ball carrier. If you don't get the ball away, he's going to gain some yards.
Paul Bergman is the tight end that's come into the game now. On the side at the bottom of the screen. He's in for Cozen on 1st and 10. Williams gets it and is out to the 34-yard line where he gains 3 before Tony Fitzpatrick makes the stop. And it's now 2nd down, and we'll call it a short 8 yards to go coming up.
When you need 2 scores to either tie or win, it's pretty tough to use your timeouts early. So I've got a feeling they'll use them around the 2-minute mark. Maybe 1 at 3 minutes, and then try to stop them there. The first chance they get, though, a 3rd and long, they'll call that first timeout.
Both teams have their full allotment of 3 left in the game. Browner, Cooks, Fitzpatrick, and Crosby, the front forward wall. And that is nearly a first down. And it's Sean Faulkner, who had come into the game, that carried the potato. How oftentimes do we see that? The guy that makes the mistake, you go to him in a serious situation and you say, all right, we haven't lost confidence in you.
Yeah, plus another thing, the law of averages are with you. He's not going to fumble it 2 times out of 2 carries.
Well, it's 3rd down and not quite 2 yards, but closer to 2 yards than 1 yard.
I might have thought about calling one of my timeouts here. 3rd and 2.
Well, for all intents and purposes, barring any unforeseen turnovers, this could be your ball game right here. Faulkner, 1st down. Ross Browner made the hit.
But he almost dropped that one, Tim. Looked like he had it on his hip there for a second.
He feels a little better this time, though, than he did last time.
Take a look close now on the handoff exchange. See that ball on his hip there? Get it back in there, Sean. And he did. Oh, that could have been... He turns it over there, and we got a football game.
Yep. Just outside the 42-yard line, 1st and 10.
I call timeout right after this play if I'm the Houston defense.
Bentley. Markers down at the 45-yard line. Do we have face mask on Cleveland Crosby or Diella?
You betcha.
And that is certainly not what the Gamblers needed.
Grasping the face mask, number 79, defense, 5 yards.
He's calling Browner. I'm not certain, though, that was Crosby. Perhaps it was Ross. 79 or 78, one or the other.
If it was Ross, he got all the way across the field with the greatest of speed.
Yep.
I'm certain it was 78.
Yeah, it was Crosby.
Ross is looking around saying, I couldn't have been there. I'm clear over at the left defensive end. How did I get on that side of the field?
There's Cleveland Crosby out of Arizona in his 4th year, 6'5" and 250 pounds. The Gamblers have the makings of a fine defensive front. I mean, they've got size, they've got strength and speed. But yet they have relinquished a lot of yardage on the ground this year. It's really one of their Achilles heels.
I've got a feeling practicing against the run and shoot all week doesn't toughen you up for the conventional type offense in the running game, too.
So now it's 1st down and 3. Not an ideal situation to be in.
Bobby Hebert going to let this run close to 2-minute mark, too, so they can't use one of the timeouts.
First half, 7 of 14 for Hebert. 2 of 8 in the second half. Not a very productive second half for Hebert, but then again, remember, he did already have 24 points on the scoreboard at that time. Williams has a 1st down about the 48-yard line, and we're coming down to the 2-minute warning. The Oakland Invaders have the best record in the West, maybe the best in the USFL. They're 2 minutes away. We're coming down to cases in the regular season. USFL on ESPN Monday night, 31-21 our score with 2 minutes left. It's a 1st and 10 situation for the Invaders. The Gamblers do have 3 timeouts left. You'd think that they would give themselves every opportunity here and utilize those timeouts in the time that's remaining. Not the greatest night, perhaps, for Bobby Hebert, but as is so oftentimes the case, he did what he had to do. And in the final analysis, that's all you want out of a quarterback.
You got a 24-7 lead at the half. You want to come out and control the ball on the ground and use the clock as long as you can. Throw it up. As Woody Hayes said, 2 things can happen bad, and only one good. He catches it.
Bentley and Williams in the backfield. Holloway at the bottom of your screen. 1st and 10. What is that? A little bootleg action for Bobby Hebert.
Somebody made a mistake. You don't want Hebert doing that going into the playoffs.
Boy, he made it look like a planned play, though, didn't he? Mike Mitchell made the hit. I think he's the most surprised player on the field, though. You're right.
I think he was supposed to turn inside to hand off, and he turned outside, and the backs were gone. Whoops. Hello, Mom. I'm all by myself out here. Get down, Bobby. Don't let anybody take a shot at you.
So it's 1st and 10 with the ball at the 36-yard line. And 1:35 left. Well, the Invaders are making a case for being the favorite team in the United States Football League playoffs, which begin next week.
They'll have the #1 seed with the best record.
Williams is tripped up by Rayford Cooks in the backfield early, along with Cleveland Crosby. And a timeout called by the Gamblers with 1:15 left. They do have 2 left. We'll return to the Astrodome in just a moment. The Oakland Invaders are on their way. (31-21), the Oakland Invaders on top of the Houston Gamblers. 2 timeouts left now for Houston with the ball at the 35. Second down and 8 yards to go for Oakland. Williams. Pretty quick move there by Lloyd Lewis, the left tackle, to make the stop. And another timeout called with 1:09 left. We'll return to the Astrodome in just a moment. A minute and 9 seconds left in the regular season of the United States Football League, the final regular season in the spring for the USFL, at least we're told. And on 3rd and 10, Derek Holloway is very close to a first down. I think he may have it. Will Lewis made the stop. And it is a first down.
Who's that quarterback from Dallas? Used to sing some song when the game was over.
Yep, it's about that time.
He's not working anymore, I hear. I guess I'll leave the singing to him.
Well, you know, it was in this same building he began to sing on a Monday night when something happened as they panned the audience in the dome. Here are the matchups now. On Saturday, Houston would take on Birmingham. Sunday, Denver and Memphis. Tampa Bay then goes on to Oakland, and Baltimore against New Jersey. That, given the outcome of this game, which at this moment is salted away in the favor of the Oakland Invaders.
Tough matchup for Jersey and for Houston.
Bear. And we have a marker down. Mike Hawkins got on top of Bear. Bobby did what you would do in this situation in a meaningless situation before the playoffs get underway, and that's hit the turf on his own.
And run around back there for a while at the clock run.
Personal foul, number 89, offense.
We'd like to take time out to thank all of the public relations directors of the United States Football League teams for their help in the 1985 season. And thank also all the head coaches and their staffs, time and cooperation that they gave us all year long. And to those that have helped us bring you USFL on ESPN Monday night, our producer John Wildhack and director Jay Mullen. Associate producers that have worked with us throughout the year, Mike Cohen, Barry Sachs, Fred Godelli, Jamie Reynolds, Conrad Piccirillo, and our operations producers who worked with us all year long, Sam Alisi, Larry Christensen, Russ Gabay, and Marty Ehrlich. Our many thanks to them during the course of the year. And you too, Mike Haffner.
Thank you, sir. It's nice to be with you again, Tim. And the guys on the crew have done just special work. Made us look good.
They really did. And for the benefit of the gentleman that had been with you for much of this year, Roger Twibell, I know, would echo that same sentiment were he here tonight. Now, who do you like in the championship? Do you like Charlie Sumner's chances?
I like Charlie Sumner's chances, but watch out for the Birmingham Stallions.
I think I'll go with the best of the West. And we'll be back to wrap it all up for you in just a moment. Our final, Oakland 31, Houston 21. The end of the spring era of USFL football closes with the Oakland Invaders proving to be the best of the West, 31-21 over Houston. USFL on ESPN Monday night has been brought to you by Dickies. They're America's favorite work clothes. But who says you have to work in them? And by MasterCard. MasterCard International, so worldly, so welcome. And by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Derek Holloway. Offensively, a catalyst as always, as the wide-open attack of the Oakland Invaders came to fruition in a win over the Gamblers. And special teams play, also a key in tonight's victory. 1 of 2 blocks for Randy McClanahan. And Oakland's on its way to the playoffs. For Mike Hafner, Tim Brando saying so long, good luck to the USFL, whatever time, whatever season.